these new teams, with Team Neutral, obviously Team Ukraine, they're going to actually, I think, cause some chaos in this lobby.
I've given, of course, got UK looking to try and show up and repeat what would have been 2022. Do you think that they've got a shot here? What do you make of it?
You know what, as long as they're not, they have a shot. I think the big thing for me, though, is Miraku coming back as a coach. And I think, if the little birds tell me right, they're actually going to stick to having one IGL all event wrong, which will definitely help them compared to last year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They were having some switcheroos. They didn't really come in super focused, it felt like, last year on around, but Heaven will be returning for South Korea as well, a two-time champion here for PNC. And the interesting thing, Matchroom, about South Korea is a lot of people had some questions like, okay, yeah, but where are the big names? Where's Salute? Where's Seoul? And things like that. This is a South Korean roster that is extremely well-tuned, and Seongjang on GK as well looked amazing in PWS.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't have like the big names that everybody's been used to for the several years, but whenever we looked at the PGSs, this is a lot of our heavy hitting performers. Like, yeah, okay, they're very consistent in the way that they manage to qualify. Sure, sometimes it's a lot of survival, but it's a very heady squad whenever we look at South Korea. Of course, we also have to look at our highly anticipated debuts, and Batulin's gonna be over there in Hackatory as well. Scappy bringing it up. It's weird to think about that these guys have not played in PNC before.
100%. That's what I was going to say as well. But let's listen with Bella.
First day of survival stage here at PNC 2026. We have the lower 8 teams from last year. We have some new teams and some teams looking for redemption. And one of those new teams, we have Hackatory and Coach Alrain joining us from Team Ukraine. Hello, guys. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you all. Well, Hackatory, tell me, how is your first PNC experience been like?
Скажи, будь ласка, як тобі перший твій досвід участі у PNC?
Я дуже радий, мені подобається. Я радий, що я можу представляти збірну України.
I like it very much. I love to be representing my country and I'm proud of it.
Well, did you have any expectations? Because this is your first PNC. You must have watched all the other ones before, right?
Це твій перший турнір. Ти попередній дивився чи ні?
Ні.
Me? No?
He doesn't watch, PNCs previously.
Oh, so you have no other knowledge from PNC, so this is your first one competing here. Well, can you tell us a little bit about Team Ukraine then, with one word? How would you describe Team Ukraine then?
Опиши, будь ласка, нашу збірну України одним словом.
Потужно.
Powerful.
Powerful. Okay, I like the confidence. Well, now we have a lot of the players here at the lobby saying that you are the best PUBG player, best PUBG team in the world. Well, what would you like to say to that?
Багато гравців кажуть, що ти найкращий гравець у світі. Що ти хочеш їм відповісти?
Дякую, що вірять в мене.
Thank you for believing in me.
Thank you. All right. Well, any last words before I let you and Coach Alrain go?
Якісь слова фанатам, можливо?
Вболівайте за Україну, за нашу збірну.
Support us and cheer for Team Ukraine.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Hackatory and Coach Alrain, and Udachi to Team Ukraine. Udachi?
Дякую.
Udachi. Okay.
Дякую.
All right, you know what? Bella got a little pop out of them towards the end, but let's take a look at some of our veterans also returning. Oh, this is a big one, and I want to hit on this quickly here. Mark, you've got a doozy back in. 2019 champion alongside Uber, Kemba, Senya back then. It's great to have him back.
Hi guys,
That's
it's Bella
some
back
big
again
names
here
coming
for
back,
a
and one of
quick
them is back on the
interview, and
stage.
It's correct. See, he is back in 4 years. This is a nice time to be back, right? How are you feeling? How's it like to be back?
I'm feeling good. It's nice to be back and represent Finland.
You know, back in 2022, when that was your first PNC, you guys came in 5th, and I'm wondering, after a little bit of time, and you know, you've gotten stronger, you've collected a little bit of trophies here and there. What's the goal for you then?
I mean, of course we're gonna try to play for win, but first we need to qualify for finals.
Yeah, right. Go one step at a time. Can you tell us one word? How would you describe Team Finland?
Goats.
Goats.
Yeah.
Not 1, not 2, but 4 goats. Would you say your coach is a goat too?
Yeah.
5 goats. Okay. Well, before I let you go, any last words from you or Team Finland to the fans? to the fans. You gotta say something
to the fans.
Yes.
We're gonna try our best, and thanks for supporting us.
All right, thank you, Corexi, and best of luck to you for Team Finland. Wait with me. You cannot leave. Bye.
Bye.
Of course, Bella holding Curexi hostage once again here. Similar in PGS, of course, Matrim, as we take a look at all the numbers and the breakdown. I think a lot of people are going to be scared of the likes of Tambu and Himas coming in here to yet another PNC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that squad is absolutely nothing to be terrified of. I mean, that is there's so much capabilities in this one. Looking out, of course, we do have Trick that's going to be coming back in, finding some good returns on it. Indonesia, as well as United States, China. A lot of what we're going to be looking at moving into tomorrow. I think that whenever we look at the stakes coming into today, though, it's all going to be about like a lot of these newcomers stepping in. And it was nice to get like Corexi and get his insights.
Yeah, I was really hoping he would leave it at the very end of all of that, but he didn't. It's be a classic Finnish maneuver. But of course, you guys at home can be playing the PUBG Fantasy, which is in-game as well. Look at these handsome devils as they're going to be presenting their teams to you. I didn't realize I'd picked all the newcomers to this, Gibson, but that's what I've gone for, and you've agreed with half of me.
Yeah, I saw your team and I was like, well, I can't pick the exact same team as Claros because there's some collusion there. So I went for Argentina. And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but a little birdie told me Argentina are going to be very aggressive against one of the other teams in the roster. So I thought, you know what? If it works out for them, they'll get a bunch of kills and Argentina could do well.
And of course, you guys at home as well can be involved not only via that fantasy, but also for the Fantasy event and drops that are going on as well. So make sure to keep tuned in and good to go. And if you are cheering at home, oh wait, surprise, surprise, China at #1, Mark. Is there any?
I got hands up. I brought every single helmet, but no surprise. And actually quite surprised the gap between China and Vietnam, despite the defending champions. So obviously interesting to see for me that there is a bit of a gap between those two teams.
Yeah, fair. You can see that as well. We are in the same venue for our survival stage as we were for PPMI at the end of last year, Matrim here. So quite a few of these players are going to be familiar with it, of getting warmed up. And a lot of them, bear in mind, normally I would come into PNC saying, especially when we're normally in Korea, that Korea was favored because you're on home soil. But a lot of these players have been there for quite a while now because of PGS.
Yeah, with the PGS setup, we did have a couple of situations with PGS and like passports and the way everything was coming in with visas. Everybody was stacked more onto the PNC side of this to try to prep for it. So that kind of gives you an idea that eyes were for like defending country as well as the prize pool that's going to be coming out from this. So I think that everybody should be a lot more comfortable like you're talking about. Also just have eyes looking around, see if we can spout out a Martin anywhere.
All right, let's get to it then. It's time to start PNC.
हेलो गेम चालू हो गया वॉच पार्टी कर रहा है ना तू हाँ वही
Everyone, it's Bella here, and PUBG Nations Cup is officially back. Right now, right here, the 16 teams here are all hungry for their spot in the grand finals. And we all remember last year's survival stage where Team Indonesia actually surprised us with their massive upset. And the question on everyone's mind is, who is it going to be this time? Who is going to completely defy the expectations for PNC 2026? Now, this stage really has it all. We've got the defending champions looking to cement their legacy. We got the newcomers ready to make their mark, and of course the returning squads out for redemption. And every single player here in the lobby has their own story and a dream for that PNC trophy. But who will actually survive the survival stage and keep their dreams alive? We're about to find out. Let's get the show started. Here's PUBG Nations Cup 2026.
Hold that back.
Okay, we've got ourselves all of our teams ready to go and descend on down. Only 8 teams will get through this survival stage across the next 2 days as we take a look at a returning champion, Gibson. I'm hyped for Great Britain.
Yeah, look, it's a good one for them. I like how you go to the Irish person to talk about, the UK's chances in this one. Was that a little bit targeted? But no, look, this is a really experienced roster. I spoke to Michael. They're going into this with a completely different mindset than last year. T-Bone's going to be IGLing as we expect. But look, anytime I see Vard, Vex, and Lobby, I get excited because Vard's one of my favorite players to watch.
I've got to jump in here for a second. So, Kalaris, your hype on Great Britain? Or on United Kingdom? Are they on your fantasy team?
Well, the prices just didn't work out. I would have picked Australia as well, but the prices just didn't work out. Let's be honest. Australia's usually here for like comedic relief, in my opinion. Matching. What do you think?
No, I totally got them just for that because you need to be emotionally invested in Australia because they're going to do some of the wildest stuff, and it's going to piss you off. So I specifically chose because Ukraine is going to be, let's be honest, probably statistically better, but Australia will buckle you in for a ride if you pick them.
I think so. I was talking to Tiggleton a lot yesterday about how things are going for them. They seem happy with everything and how it's going to go down. But as we said, a powerhouse. Ukraine coming into this, Mark. Of course, they've got 3 of their Na'Vi members. DFX has played with them all in the past. They are all mega fraggers.
Yeah, look. This is a dream team, right? This is a dream team coming out for Team Ukraine. The only concern I've got, there are some big players, there's some big names, and there's some big ideas in this team. How is that going to gel together? How is that going to play? You said they've played together. I get that, and some time has passed since then, so maybe they've settled. But it'd be intriguing. I think they're going through. I'd be shocked if they don't, but I'd be interested to see how aggressive this team plays.
Kazakhstan are a newcomer here, Gibson, as well. They are subbing in from 2-1-0 to Hobber. And Hobber, man, I mean, he has a pedigree, right? He was technically their coach listed, but he's played at PGCs. He knows what he's doing.
I think they've got better, right? Bringing in Hobber, I think that's a big impact to team. And IM5 is another player that I'm excited to see. Look, there's a reason why Kazakhstan have been invited to play here, and I think they're going to show us today.
I think so too. Of course, we've got India returning as well for yet another year of PNC, and Matrim, they've been playing the EMEA scrims as well. They've not looked kind of unfamiliar to this. They've had a bit of a rough time in the 2 PNCs that they've played in the past, but I think that this roster has a little bit more power relative to those other ones. What do you make of it?
I mean, whenever you look at it, you do have to admit that this is a squad that's coming in with far less LAN experience overall. We do know that India loves PUBG, and whenever we look at PUBG Mobile, the way that they play it, they understand the mechanics and the meta in certain fashions. But now it's just going to be about making sure that they figure out how they flow into what's going on with all the other teams around them.
Yeah, look at him, the cheeky man. Batulins here for neutral. What a roster this is as well. Lou, Levante, Batulins, and a doozy. Mark, it's an all-star roster.
This is a crazy roster. I'm really interested to watch how a doozy and Batulins play. Again, 2 massive names from our region, right? We just see how they go. So we've got Blue sitting there. Levante's a big name as well. So you look at that on paper, it's big. I hope it gels together. But as you have all picked apart from me, they're on your fantasy team. I just was a little bit unsure about how a doozy and Batulins might play out. But they're a qualifying team again for me, though.
That's a fair criticism and potential concern of it, right? Because way back years ago, when they theorized a roster for neutral, I talked to Batulins and he said, okay, yeah, but maybe a doozy and him would conflict in terms of style because they're very different IGLs. But I think for sure they're going to be on the Batulins playbook, especially with having Lou on board, right? They're going to be following that kind of style, I think, and just allowing a doozy who kind of wanted to move into the fragger role anyway, as of when he kind of joined Seoul alongside the rest of his roster, Gibson. So maybe he's going to be happy just shooting at things.
I spoke to him before the event, and he's going into this like a grudge match. Like, he really wants to win. He's a little upset about the fact this is his first PNC. So Batu is going to go into this one playing hard. And look, I've always said it. I think he's one of the greatest players there. I always say, right, he's one of the greatest players to play the game. I think it's not a hot take at all. Everyone's going to agree with me there. Most people will. But I think Neutral are going to come into this, and they're going to try to get off to a hot start.
Oh, they're taking their maps away. You know what that means, Matrim. It's almost time to get into our first game. We've got a lot of teams to talk about, but there's only so much time. Let's start this off. It's PNC 2026 live from Seoul, South Korea. Game number 1 will be on Erangel, and it's going to be me and Matrim to bring you the first game. So Mark Gibson will get you back in after this one. Let's get it. Game number 1, Matrim.
All right, it is PNC time. We are starting off even having Levante neutral off the go in the plane. So going to be coming in from the west, or the eastern side, moving into the west. So pretty much everything's going to be on the table on drop. A little bit longer of a stretch if you're wanting to go over to military base, but this should be a pretty standardized drop from most of our teams, Colaris.
Should be. Now, of course, there was kind of things like we saw the potential for some hot drops going down. I asked UK straight away, are you going Milta? And they believed that Argentina was going to be going elsewhere and kind of circumnavigating that entire situation. That said, looks like they're going towards Rozhok. Looks like they're going towards India. That might be the first hot drop scenario here, Matrim.
Oh, India. We were talking about needing to figure out how you move into, like, the environment here and figure out how you work around these other squads. This is going to be a really hard start for them if they have to deal with it. A little bit of distance coming out. And yep, India, Unforgiven, at least does manage to get into the car first. Can't quite get the run over, but can he manage to line it up? It's a little bit awkward whenever you're that close to try to run somebody over, and it's taken some time to do this. Can he get to the tree and survive?
Yeah, the funny thing is that this is all towards Boatyard as well, like that. Even though Rozhok is completely free, so they could have detached from one another, but they challenged from vehicles this early on, and now are kind of still encroaching on this Boatyard position. So there was technically room for both of these teams to have a spot. And they've decided to be a bit more aggressive. I can kind of understand it from Argentina's side, right? I think that they probably believe that India is a bit of a weaker mule in this lobby compared to some of the other ones, based on some of the track record we've got, as well as a lack of exposure to those international lands.
Look, India's already had to just kind of drop down to the belly, try to get some TPP vision on what's going to be going on around them. Argentina is a lot more aggressive in trying to find utility as far as weapons and getting everything set. They already know that they've got enough of one angle contained, so if they can pick off one player, they might just be able to swoop around and find more. Given the fact that this is pretty much in the circle in a great position to kind of maneuver around from this point forward, there is no rush on either one of these squads, but that does mean it's more complicated for India as they have to figure out a way to extricate themselves.
Yep, just trying to bail out the other side of Boatyard by the looks of things, but as you say, with Unforgiven on the other position, it's a bit more difficult to make this work on out. Of 37 new players participating in this PNC, so a lot of fresh blood, fresh meat potentially for some of the veterans as well as some of the top level players, but at the same time a lot of those top level players are also the newcomers, so it's going to be exciting.
The way this is set, India does have the capabilities to kind of turn this, but they have to make sure that they get these pickoffs on angles of approach coming up from Argentina. Snipeball is playing off on one side. Unforgiven, like you mentioned, is going to be more up to the north. Looks like he's managed to secure a vehicle and get looting a little bit better off. It's just going to be about, can the other two players from India, most notably, kind of get into a point to get their loot back better, because it is going to be Argentina sweeping that northern wall, trying to come around, and Translucent's already looked like he's got a read on that and is moving away from it quite efficiently.
I definitely have my concerns about this. I mean, like, as much as Argentina probably feels like they can clean them up, it does delay you a little bit about where you want to be maneuvering. Thankfully, the circle does kind of favor them, but again, you know, it bears repeating what we said in the pre-show. The circles this tournament are different. Land ratio is gone in 4 and 8, so you've got to be really on your toes about maneuvering. And looks like Unforgiven's looking to just pick up his friend, get out of dodge.
This is pretty well timed. I mean, most of the squad for Argentina is up in that northern area, kind of running along the wall, so should be able to get out of position very efficiently. Looks like that's going to stack up, at least pick up 3 of them. And that's going to set up a pretty nice retreat. I mean, loot's not the best, it's not terrible either.
Okay, Japan go down.
Taipei start things off. Jimbo and Adam, good position there against Xavier and Zeno, as they do take them out quickly. So that's not too bad, just on this rotation as they try and find a little position for themselves. This is on the north side of Georgia Pole, really, so technically speaking, they maybe were very, very active and ready for this as they did move alongside. That's a good pickup here for Canada to start.
No apologies come out from Canada right off the get-go, picking up that first blood-style situation, so they should be pretty comfortable on that. Chinese Taipei, though, this is going to be really hard. They're not even having a decent path into the circle yet. They already have a couple of other squads that are already starting to position around them. Most notably, Finland's going to be the next in the gauntlet after. Ukraine, though, is just in an incredibly good place to start this one off.
As we take a look at the Ukrainian boys, Hakatori, this is, again, an extremely scary person to be going up against in these kinds of lobbies. You know that he's going to be coming for, of course, advancing from survival, but then trying to challenge for that championship position, right? So, yeah, big hopes for this Ukrainian roster.
Whenever I looked at it, it was so hard to make the choice between, on my fantasy roster, going with neutral or Ukraine just due to the price between the two of them. And it's almost like looking at two different sides of the coin, right? Like, I'm feeling like neutral is going to be very tactical, very much about macro and positioning, but Ukraine just can demolish somebody with the firepower coming out of it. I mean, this is going to be really intriguing to watch as the battle progresses, especially given the territory that we're watching Ukraine start with. This is a great spot specifically for the style that they are going to want to play.
For sure. My only reservations, and kind of was a little bit alluded to in our pre-show as well, is the fact that when Diffex left Na'Vi alongside Fairest and Hakatori, when they were still on the team, okay, we're bouncing around, it was... The backstage kind of conversation was that it was just a clash of styles and not necessarily, well, maybe egos, you could phrase it like that, but just like approaches to the game and things like that. But if I'm Diffex here in this situation, I just sit back and say, all right, I'll shoot with whatever you want me to shoot at, because we've got a really good chance of going very, very deep as this Ukraine roster. But again, that was like 2 years ago, so maybe everything's settled, right?
You have to assume, because there's, like, it's so weird whenever we look at PUBG, because like, there's the jokes that, like, okay, everybody's got to be a little bit of family because you have to, like, get everybody together just to do scrims, and it takes so many players to do it. Family can fight sometimes, and sometimes there could be some bad blood in those style of situations. But a lot of times, as it progresses forward, most people kind of drop off. They realize the business is business. Everybody's here to try to do the best that they can, and then you kind of come back around. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's probably calmed at this point. But we'll see. We'll have to see. Maybe somebody just decides, like, no, we're going to sit Diffex off to die first every single time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it's like, you think about, like, football, right? You think everybody on a football team gets along? Like,
oh, yeah. There's no ego on those squads at all, right?
So it can happen from time to time, but I think, yeah, the eyes on the prize is going to be very important here, especially for some of these great rosters. Kazakhstan is one that might end up flying under the radar as well, as Fex already starts off against Code Marco. I feel like this lobby might be very EMEA coded. I was talking to you, the boys in the back about it before this, but I mean, we've got some really good rosters here, and haphazardly EMEA also has a lot of countries that do exist within it. So I think that there's going to be definitely an EMEA lean to the play style of a lot of this lobby.
But that's not necessarily bad, because it does mean the fact that it's going to be a lot more macro-based. It's going to be about moving and positioning. Not necessarily more wild, let's just try to kill everything that we can. Which does mean that good strategy and good gameplay will be rewarded in this qualification. So, not necessarily as loose as some people were a bit worried that the qualification series coming into this could be. As you can see, it's already pretty settled. Most of the squads understanding exactly what their win conditions are and where their danger points that they have to play for are.
And as these circles narrow down as well, it will be even more spicy as to where this could go. Because, for example, if this just kept hard shifting north or hard shifting south, all of that water could still stay in later in the game, but it's not going to. This gives our teams a bit of a reprieve as to what could potentially occur in our circle setting.
One rotation camp.
Also do remember as well that our red zones or hazard zones are trapped. King starts off with a double here against K-Man and Adam with the
easy kills.
That's a good spray down for him to get things rolling.
Alright, they didn't find India, but staying here does manage to find some...
correct nice,
finding a couple of kills. This is going to be right on the edge of this new zone that's going to be pretty much centered around Pachinki. There's a lot of dead zones going to be around it, most notably the Badlands that are going to be kind of in position a little bit more along this kind of area coming out of Sunken City or Boatyard.
Rotation camp सबसे बुरा होता है भाई.
We do have neutral that's already in position over there. Eyes on to Finland. Finland's going to be right next to Argentina, trying to keep them out.
अरे ये तो भाई चेज हो रहे हैं भाई कैनेडा वाले तो.
There's nowhere for Canada to go. Every single position that they try to play for is just getting bullied. And this is just continual around. Canada is the first eliminated.
For sure, that's a beanie kill read. That is the kill feed kill read, and he said, okay, let's just hit them hard alongside Gustav's calls, of course. That is them reading that perfectly to a T. So well done there by Denmark to be able to capitalize on that after seeing the casualties do go down, but at the same time Comarco now peppering some shots in against Japan. Where do they want to go? I mean, it's not actually a bad spot that Japan is currently taking up here on the south side of this circle.
I mean, it's so much more of a cluster over into the north and into the east right now. Japan has managed to set up a pretty nice 2-2 split. Good compounds, a lot of control. no real team's necessarily going to be jousting up or going for a hard crash into them yet. Maybe Norway, who's kind of playing along the peninsula just over into their east. Malaysia, though, they've got Great Britain on one side of them, going to be making it a lot harder for them to kind of deal with, or United Kingdom. It always drives me insane that they use Great Britain as their letters, but then they're technically United Kingdom. Why do you do this to us?
Philippines भी दिखा दो
Yeah,
भाई
and the
वो
funny
क्या कर
thing
रहे
is
हैं.
that Great Britain is technically not the same as the United Kingdom.
I know!
or vice versa.
That's why I keep correcting myself.
But look, I escaped like 20 years ago almost, so it doesn't matter for me. I'm whatever. Say whatever you like to me, Matchup. It's fine.
भाई M2 ने जॉड होके इस टाइम के
That's
बैठा
the one
गया.
bad one. I know the rules.
Yeah, well, considering that a few of them are from Wales, well, anyway, we'll talk about that later. It's another topic for another time. We've got plenty of these teams to be looking at now.
All right, so Death Road's got a lot of attention over there with United Kingdom stacked over next to Malaysia. Of course, Ukraine's going to be a bit on the
Okay,
tail
Team
end of
India
that.
coaching
Nobody's up
Kings.
on Potato Mountain at the time. Other side of what's going to be going on Ukraine just to the west is going to be where Aussies are going to be
Neutral के
hanging out
सामने
at.
कुछ
They've got
है क्या?
themselves split in the compound coming right out of that hillside, but of course, India's moved into Pachinki. They've got neutral right up next to them. And then Argentina's still finding some space over into the west. This is kind of
space.
calmed down for now, but new circles could be
Pachinki अभी
popping in
खा
just
लिए
a
तो
couple of
इंडिया
seconds.
का एडवांटेज
Make this a
अंदर
lot more
जाके
chaotic.
एग्जिट भी ले सकती है.
Yeah, to give people a
hardship.
glimpse into India as
आता है
well,
तो.
obviously you don't get too much word from them and how they've been playing things.
Yeah,
They've been
Jake.
playing the EMEA script, and even
Malaysia
on
का
the
बंदा down
compounds
होते
north of Pachinki, they've been
Great
challenging
Britain.
teams like Yoga Benita, who are extremely
United
aggressive in
Kingdom.
those early skirmishes as well, and kind of going 50-50 blow for blow for them in the scrims too. So this isn't exactly the pushover India that we've seen in the past, but they have been very cautious about kind of their
सब
approach
coaching
up
किया आएंगे.
against Argentina, and I can respect that. It's mature gameplay.
All right,
Mostly
everybody has
some
just jumped in
pieces
vehicles
get-
and they've made a run. Pachinki has stayed inside the circle. Aussies are going to just crash right down into the
Okay,
trenches.
into the RDM.
Use this. They managed to get right up in front of Turkey, who looked like they might have been eyeing a similar position. Norway's going to be wrapping back behind Turkey, who had eyes on Australia. Kazakhstan's going to be playing on the Pachinki hillside, kind of sharing it right now. Off to the west, they have a competition that they have to be worried about. Chinese Taipei is trying to come in right next to Argentina, who's running a wide split, and then Finland's got to come in from the north.
It's a toughie of a circle because there's so much field that still does exist in it, right? So taking those trenches is not too bad a spot to be able to take up. And of course, on the east side of Pachinki, there is even those kind of war dug trenches. But of course, you got to remember, we still do have the pickaxe in play. We still have all those explosive in play. You can make your own trenches now in those fields, and it does make those fields a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, it also makes this hillside way stronger to play. There's some bit of vulnerabilities. You can see Philippines already trying to use that. Chinese Taipei looks like they're just trying to squeeze in. They might be just going for a crash right into Pachinki, but the way that India is set up, this is going to be where their defensive line is already positioned. So
Yes,
Chinese Taipei with no options. They'll be He's going to pick up one, and then it's just going to be running right into the other. Can they at least get a knock on it? No, Chinese Taipei is out.
Not too bad a steal from Translucent, so a point on the ball for India as well. Of course, as Translucent is a returning player here for the team, alongside Unforgiven for the second PNC after playing in PNC 2023. So good to see them back. Translucent now on the board. Alongside Ryzen here, who's, again, as you say, holding out this side of Pachinki in a pretty decent spot. So they might be able to get quite a couple of points off of this. As now Finland still scouting around up on the church position here. If they can move forwards onto church, they'd have quite a nice spot themselves. They're just looking to kind of like hold out those edge positions, because this Finnish team here, Matrim as well, they are very well versed at playing ranked with each other, pubs with each other, even Finnish tournaments as well as some Nordic tournaments. So I think that this is definitely a scary roster to go up against.
Uh-oh, are we going to get some geometry coming in? Looks like Tig's got the line in. Kazakhstan, nowhere to go. Philippines going to be able to kind of force them back to regroup on the hillside. CJ gets nice shots on IM5. That should be a flush. Can they manage to find it? Turkey, I think, starting to get a little bit nervous, realizing there's some problems. Smoke's going to come down, but doesn't look like it's close enough to be that scary yet.
I think Turkish roster here might have PTSD against some mortar fire. Some PGSs, they were dying to quite a bit on like teams like SPG, etc. and stuff. So got to be careful about that. Fair starts things off against Malaysia though, up on this east side of the circle, knowing that they're playing edge. Actually, Malaysia's backfilling this position. They could get a little bit bitten here, but I think Ukraine should be okay in responding to it. Actually, no, he's parachuting in. Okay, so that's kind of reinforcing.
Now it's just going to be on the setup of angles. Ukraine now starting to just feast over here. Malaysia has nowhere to go. This is firmly entrapped. It's just running right down into the United Kingdom or dealing with Ukraine up on top. Mart's going to go ahead and get some victories out of that for himself. And where else do you go? Just make a run for it. And no, can't even land in Pachinki.
I'm hoping Malaysia can do something here throughout the survival stage as well. Shane obviously being the absolute star of that roster. And then alongside him, just a great team of RA as a core, right, that have been able to qualify through to EWC at those previously Vega Esports. So we'll see, though. That's not exactly the best start from them coming in on the edge against Ukraine. I mean, what are you going to do, man?
Yeah, I mean, you're moving down into an open field with Ukraine that's now firmly encroached you on both sides. You were just trapped over there. And Malaysia did kind of put themselves over there, but they were in the hunt for going on to kills. Looked like they were trying to harass what was going on with the United Kingdom. There are still a couple moving factors that are going to be moving into this a bit more vulnerable. Most notably, it is going to be Norway having to deal with Japan pretty close, as well as the Philippines trying to sneak their way in, but they do have a Chinky hillside to work with.
Can we get a closer zoom in on Hakatori, please? That would be just enhance, all right? Like,
I think edge entry force करने की try कर रहे हैं एक knock पे.
No, it's a good start here from Ukraine.
Knock नहीं भी आया तो ये शायद साले मारेंगे.
As much as it's a good start from them on this edge position, it's a little bit difficult oftentimes to actually get off of this hillside if you want to go straight west. So that's why we're probably going to see them go for this wide ramp south to try and, well, take fights and then just find themselves a bit of a better entry point. The problem is that there is teams here, Norway's here to try and do this.
अरे भाई.
Yeah, but I think this is Ukraine's strategy. They're like, no, we'll just shoot and destroy everything.
गाड़ी में क्यों बैठ गया था वापस से?
They're like, just play edge. Wrap. Okay, we can't go west. We'll just try to kill anything. But it does look like United Kingdom has realized there's an opportunity. They are starting to maneuver over into point to see if maybe they can go after Ukraine. But Ukraine just takes down Norway so fast.
Booster ain't gonna miss those nades. Oh, what? Hakatori, hello? Okay, well, that was as quick as anything there. Fex, a little bit distracted. Wait, they're actually jumping on that at Ukraine. That's a crazy maneuver, but it actually just might work out, knowing that they're very separated. At the same time, Philippines here going up against Japan, knowing that all of these teams on the south side have to make a big move, and Japan is getting destroyed.
Lost shot lag gaya bhai.
Japan wanted to get away from Ukraine real bad, and that just put them into another problem. Crossfire down in the low section of a valley. Philippines does have one of their players go down, should be resible. It's just a matter of how much do Ukraine want to continue running. Oh, the circle pulls over into the field. That is going to be problematic for Pachinki.
Yes, it is. Ukraine's not stopping either. They get more knocks on the boys as they try and find themselves a position. If I'm Ukraine at this point, yeah, I want to clear out the south side, but at the same time, eyeing up the position of Great Britain to try and wrestle that away and use that as a linchpin for maybe a win here for Ukraine to start off this survival stage would be huge. At the same time, Matrim, the teams in Pachinki might have a bit of a hard time about transitioning between some of these buildings. I suppose Denmark's probably quite happy on the south tip of Pachinki, though.
Yeah, I like this coming up from Finland. Realizing that Pachinki is just too hot. Too many people over there. You just try to gotta get out. But where do you go? There's just firing lines everywhere. Just trying to get over into a field, which is going to be entirely open. They're getting picked apart. Neutral just has such a good angle on it. But at least they managed to find a dip. Oh! Is he fine? Is he fine? I think he's fine.
I think he's fine. Sata, get out of there. Get back into the dip as quickly as possible. That's it, though. Nade's going to be coming in. Some of these car explosions could actually catch them as well. They've got to be very careful about this. They lost IEXC as well as Chirexi. Scav is now down as well, thanks to a beaming nade. It's all on Sata to do something about this here on this dip. So he survives, but it is really a game for placement points now for Sata more than anything.
Where do you go? Kazakhstan's trying to regroup right along the road line here and get some distance away from Australia. Turkey, remember, they've been harassed for a while. Aussie's starting to come alive. Easy nade toss just to drop them right on top of Kazakhstan, and there is nowhere to go. Remember, Ukraine still has a hillside and is throwing bullets over into this direction. There is nowhere for Kazakhstan to go except for just hunker down onto this position, and does anybody else want to go after him?
Nice mortar shot from the Philippines to be able to take down a position there for Turkey. Maybe they can use that as an opportunity to leap forwards a little bit from the south side.
Philippines थोड़ा सा better angle पे है टर्की का लास्ट दो बंदे बचे हैं और वो फार है ये रिज भी मिल जाएगी अगर यूक्रेन
This could be a great staging point for them on the south side.
थोड़ा सा वो कर दे
They've
तो
just got to be careful. They're playing great position right now. The way that these two hillsides kind of come in gives them a great defensive position to play for the time being. But as they're now having to move more into the open, it's a big problem. Kazakhstan's just a little bit ahead of them. You can see what they're having to deal with right now. So Philippines has to firefight their way through what's going to be Turkey, Australia, and the remnants of Kazakhstan. But it's coming up big enough. Hey, is they're going to get knock on a shiller.
Never mind mortars, just
Argentina और इंडिया की fight
ordnance
होते हुए
experts entirely with those nades going forwards against them. Now Argentina
Sniper
moving
big
in.
connection with the
Argentina
nade.
versus India feels like this fight was broiling since minute 1, and now we're back with it. Translucent down, Captain finishing that off, and Kazakhstan is gone completely thanks to Tiggleton laying in some mortar shots as well. That trench has been great for them. We'll just see if they get the circle shift next up.
Denmark's positioning is very aggressive. This full split around inside of Pachinki, this is saying we think that we can just firefight everybody that's going to be walking through and we can take you down. Neutral is trying to move over into the east, make it a bit more complicated, but Denmark's mostly focused on what's going on with this Argentina-India still situation. But good old Unforgiven still staying alive, but how much longer is he's going to be walking right into a kill box of multiple teams?
All right, prediction on what actual fights could occur from here as well. I mean, yeah, Argentina and India, yeah, we'll take it. I think every Erangel, unless somebody really wants to pivot away from what is going on in Boatyard as well as Rozhok. But it was also funny actually when you said Sunken City before, because
Argentina में भी need नहीं है, वो ADS पे खेलेंगे.
Atlantis, there's like 6 names for it, even though it's now Boatyard.
साला blast तो है लेकिन.
Yeah, I know. It's like there's so many bad names. Like I remember at Sion whenever it was called Houston because of just things that were going on. That was bad jokes, but it's been long enough now. It's fine. It's fine. All right, Denmark time to come alive as poor old Unforgiven is just trying to fight for his life over here. Can Denmark use the opportunity that he has provided to jump onto Argentina?
At the same time, Ukraine now charging up some nades, going up against Great Britain on this side of things. Nade goes forwards from T-Bone of all people against Theorist. So not too bad a start here to kind of dissuade Ukraine from being more aggressive on here, but I don't think it's going to work. I think that they are going to continue on this line of thinking completely. Gustav takes down Captain. They've been keeping a strong eye on this fight, as you mentioned before, to be able to shut this down and then take a fight afterwards wherever they may need to go is much smarter than anything else. You've got to shut down those teams backfilling you.
This is all just defense right now, and they have to be careful because, again, there is still neutral just playing off to their east. They know it, but Gustav's just doing everything that he can, secure every point, stacking up the kills right now. Argentina just down to 1, about to get that res on the Capitan, but Blue Zone on top of him, and Denmark is staying focused on this. They're not retreating back into the safe zone. They want to make sure that they clear out anything from Argentina before they set up for anything to deal with neutral.
Definitely a toughie of a circle to start off, PNC, but at the same time, I suspect we're going to have much harder circles throughout this tournament because of the land ratio changes. Everyone kind of, you know, sometimes expects fields endings and things like that, but we're definitely going towards those fields, and eventually a team like Denmark, unless they get crazy hardships, will have to move into those fields. Like, so at this point, get as many kills as you can on this defensive setup, and then from there, see what happens.
No surprise, DraftKings probably just going to surrender over the blue zone as now Denmark is starting to set up more in their defense for neutral. Neutral has managed to get very close to the safe zone, but they are going to be walking into a couple of areas where they could have some cover. Looks like Denmark's already kind of read that. The rest of the circle still has Great Britain over into the east with Ukraine just to the south of them. Turkey's still got a player up right in the middle of it all, and there goes Argentina as he actually doesn't surrender over the blue zone. Walks out, and Denmark thanks him for it.
Yeah, into the placement points to get things rolling now. So it will start stacking up.
That
circle. Oh my. Okay, so anybody on the west side, good luck to you. Now, the crazy thing I think for Australia is that as much as they've survived long into this game, getting your cars out of there without being shot and then making a transition will be very difficult for them of all teams on that west side.
This is all going to come down to timing because Denmark's kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with Australia. They know that they've got neutral back behind them. Neutral has to deal with Denmark in closer range threat. Philippines is going to be on the other side of Australia, so it's a little bit of a game of chicken right now about who's going to go first and how the timings of this is all going to play out. Technically, the longer that neutral survives opens up more of an opportunity for a firefight between Australia as well as the Philippines to break out, but no big commitment happening just quite yet, as it is pretty much two contained arenas where these different squads are kind of fighting it out.
Neutral trying their best to slow down Denmark. Shots come in though from Michael from the distance, so that will dissuade Beamy from looking this way at the moment. Giving it. Oh, he does not go down though. I swore that some of those could have easily been headshots. As a Molotov will go through from Mixon, but doesn't quite connect. So Aduzi will live to fight another day. Now you can see as Australia has moved out of that trench line, tried to create themselves dips as well to move into, so they've got a little bit of cover against the Philippines. But P90 in hand.
There's just nowhere for the Philippines to go either. Denmark is using this opportunity to position to catch whoever moves out of this next. Aussies are trying to use the high ground, but it is all going to be about the firepower that the Philippines can manage to pump out. Good shots going to come out from Gustav to get the knock on to Monty, and Australia's crossfire problems are going to continue. This setup from the Philippines is good enough to force a line right up on top of Denmark, and Australia just has to firefight their way through it. Remember, they've been loud for so long. They pissed off so many teams that the Philippines wants vengeance back. Look at the aggressive movements coming out from them.
At the same time, Levante is going crazy against Denmark in the field as well, as they've actually done quite a bit of damage towards Denmark. Anticipated. Oh no, he stepped in front of him as a disaster to the Philippines, but they are able to shut it down anyway. Good stuff, denying this maneuver here from Australia. And Aya just take down Gustav as well, despite the trade coming out against it here. So not bad by Denmark to try and get out of that spot, but Philippines, man, they come out as the winner on the West.
Limping into the circle right now, 2 players up, but they at least have space away from Ukraine, who just decided to massacre everything over into the east, so full-on control coming up from them. Now it's just going to be about the solo and Turkey hiding up in the middle of it all. Denmark still got Beamy alive, and Levante trying to creep his way in, but this is going to be... I don't even know how you could try to survive this. There's so many people focused in. Ukraine's even got vision on the other side. Yep, just surrendered over. Now we're in our top 4.
Yeah, as much as technically there are 2 members of Ukraine outside this circle, the fact that Ukraine is starting off this strong, it's almost like the harbinger of doom. Oh, but Beamy, good shutdown here from the Philippines. 11 kills go away of Denmark so far. Despite getting out of Pachinki, it was going to be difficult. They've done well for it. But again, Matrim, the bell is tolling. Ukraine is 4 alive and looking devastating.
11 kills right now. Control over the circle. Yeah, they're not really in it like you were talking about, but there's not a lot of circle to really be in. It's just all open field with like that one compound where Bill Celtic is kind of hanging out at, going every single time he goes for a peek, just getting punished. It's him and Beamy versus the Ukrainian defense line over into the east, and I don't even know what to do. There's every peek that's punished. Defense is going to take down Beamy, and then there was one.
He has a lynx. I didn't even know he had a lynx. Oh no.
As
if there wasn't any more problems coming from the Ukraine side. Now, they're just going to run up on this. They know exactly where he is. Celtic is not even in the tower anymore. And there you go. The Lynx shuts it down. Ukraine 23 points to start off PNC survival stage. And everybody else better look out. Let's bring back in Gibson and Mark to talk about this game here. Because Gibson, this looks terrifying from Ukraine.
Yeah, we were watching that one. They got a great drop at the
pressure handling
and then we saw that push on that eastern side, and I think we both said it. UK were in trouble. That's what happened. Ukraine take the win, and Mark, what can we say?
Just
a difference maker.
Those big decision makers, right? And Fex moving out of the compound to go play onto Ukraine. Some people will see that as a good play, some will see it as a sort of negative. I think it was the right thing to do. Obviously, Ukraine was fighting. They could have potentially got a third party. It didn't work out for them. And it was a matter of time that sort of Team UK. But big plays from Ukraine. And it felt like a lot of teams
ये लेन को पूरा कंट्रोल लेके खेलते ना,
तो
इनके लिए जोन भी बनता थोड़ा इनको ये वाली ग्रैनी पहले खेलनी चाहिए थी क्योंकि इनको पता था मिड से कोचिंग की खाली है मिड कोचिंग की इतनी जल्दी कोई आता नहीं
This is next level. It's just absolutely brutal. Shout out to all the squads also that played around Pachinki for so long. This was a very hard firefight, moving in with some very weird circles. But I feel like everybody that didn't put Ukraine on their fantasy team right now, me, is a little bit sad.
You only did it because we'd already picked them all. I'm so sorry. You wanted to be different. I get it. That's okay.
Aussies did okay. They did okay.
They did do okay. They survived. As we take a look now at those final moments as well, and Ukraine looking phenomenal with it. Now, one thing that's interesting as well is, Mark, you get to these situations, normally with a field ending, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a lot of solos surviving. There's going to be a lot of dig holes and everything like that. Not the case at all in this game. Not at all.
Now, we saw obviously Turkey moving on that south side, right? And obviously with Tiggleton being close to Mortar coming it didn't quite work out. But at that point, they sort of spread out. And I was sitting there talking to Gibson, I was like, we're going to see a team crash that central. We're going to see a team crash into the field because that's the only thing that they can actually take, right? but it didn't quite happen. Kazakhstan came in that southwest corner. They couldn't quite extend their way close enough to it, and they stopped. And then that sort of west side was just chaotic. Actually, for Celtic, he paid really early, kept his head down, and he put himself in second place.
Yeah, it's no kills go his way, Gibson, but we'll take it for Turkey, I guess.
Yeah, look, they were on my team. They got a couple of points on the board for that second place, and what can you do, right? You send Celtic into the tower, and his job is to hold that and try and get as many placement points as he can. The rest of the team got obliterated a little further south. So, hey, at the end of the day, in 10 maps, if you can just manage to eke out placement points, you never know. They could find themselves in that top 8.
Yeah, and Matchroom, of course, a huge result for Team Denmark, and I'm conflicted. I want to see. I love the team. I love the players on Team Denmark. That coach, though, don't know about him, to be honest with you.
Oh, come on. Are you saying that there is no world where I'm believing that is a Martin strategy? I'm just letting you know right now. Those guys are putting in all the work and all the coaching, and he is just there giving the best of back rubs because, boy, he gives good back rubs.
Yes, I guess so. I guess you're right. And at the same time, massaging the lobby into submission is, of course, Ukraine, as DFX takes 5 alongside the 3-3 and 2 here from the rest of the lads. So if there was any concern, I guess there's no concern whatsoever. But man of the match, stolen away by BB, Mark.
Swaying, mate. He's looking into my soul right now. But no, we saw some early kills from him, and you guys made the call during the cast. It was definitely a kill feed read. You saw them chase down, obviously, from Team Canada. And they're in the right positions. They're holding teams out. They moved into the town, and obviously they were looking to try and get the kills. It was actually Beamy that made the play closest to that west side field.
Mr. Rang.
I know he's a big killer, but looking at the kind of little bits that he plays out, he understands that they want to be the last team there. And the first team obviously has to work from that position.
Okay, abhi cut off chal rahi hai 16
Team Australia that were looking to try and come up the trenches.
Yeah, I think for someone like Beamy, of course, as we take a look at the points coming in, it's 23 points for Ukraine, 16 going for him. Martin has just messaged me saying Beamy is just him. Okay, all right, thanks, Martin. Back to your coaching. Get away from me. But Gibson, I think
the grand
that,
finals
when you look at someone like Beamy, right, of course, with the pedigree that he's got now on Virtus Pro, just a deadly player that is looking to become basically world champion.
वो नहीं दिख रही भाई मेरे को.
POV
stream है ही नहीं, पता नहीं
not
कहाँ
sitting in the blue, man, right?
मेरे को लग रहा है grand finals की होगी
And
सिर्फ.
honestly, I think that there was more points in that game for them had it not been
क्योंकि
for
मैंने
the third
PUBG की
party
side
from
पे भी
Team
जाके
UK,
check किया.
right? That third party right at the end when they were fighting against
वहाँ भी नहीं दिख
neutral,
रही.
it caused them so many problems. But look, for Team Denmark, it's a really good start. You know what? If they keep that up, do you see maybe Martin subbing himself in for that last map to give himself some love?
100%. Yeah, no, get Martin in there. I'm sure he will be the perfect bait, actually, to lure teams into a false sense of security.
Well, this
कहीं
is true. A lot
वो
of
लेकिन
players might
unlisted
kill
हो रही
just
होगी.
'cause. So, I mean, if you just sit him off on the side and let him do whatever, that'll set him up.
That is true, because every time I see pros streaming and they see like Martin in their games, they're like, "Yeah, Martin, kill! It's Martin, knock him, knock him!" I've seen it so many times on streams, it's crazy. But anyway, let's talk about actual serious things.
Bye-bye, checking हो रही है भाई.
Mark actually sent it
यार
to
cheat
what
तो नहीं
could have
लेके आया.
been quite a strong
Pen drive
spot
में.
if the circle comes their way. It's just difficult once you get those E shifts, and how are you trying to get out of that trench over across the road as well?
Yeah, they were relying on that west shift, right? And it was good play for them, early play. They held off, especially the second crash that came in, the mortar fire. And again, it was that kind of dart out from that west. So unlucky when it came down to the zone, but really good to see Team Australia, which, you know, they've got fans out there which would be cheering them on, actually putting them in position to win. So chaotic team can cause chaos actually from that west region. It just didn't go their way.
And give some faith in Argentina. I mean, they really wanted to hunt down India there.
Yeah, it's what I was told. A few people from different teams said watch for Argentina dropping on India, looking for the 3 points. And I'm going to give credit to India. They took them on a wild goose hunt, right? They couldn't get anywhere near them. I think in the end it was Canada that they ended up getting points off on that rotate, but I feel like for Argentina,
अबे वो साला स्प्रे के बीच में आ गया जैसे तू मेरे स्प्रे के बीच में आ जाता है ना.
If you spend far too long hunting down those 4 kills, especially now with the fact that the zones have changed in the timings, it can really put you in
भाई लेकिन ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने जो सर्वाइव किया उधर बहस की न्यूड मार के स्मोक
Pachinki's in, fields are in. Okay, if you're late, oftentimes there is
भाई
no
नेड पे
mismatch.
इतना इफेक्ट नहीं हो रहा
Well, let's
उस
just crack
स्मोक
Pachinki,
का.
see what works there. Obviously,
गाड़ी
Finland
वाड़ी
didn't do
पेंजर
that,
वेंजर
they
के लिए
went
सही है
around
वो.
it as well. But for Argentina, they were keen to go for it, and eventually you get caught by what was the Denmark hold.
Yeah, and whenever we look at Argentina, this is a squad that has a lot of expectations to qualify. They think that they should easily be in the top 8 moving into this. No surprise on that one. I do like the fact that Argentina is coming in aggressive. Though. They're coming in
अरे
with game plan
भाई
strategies.
Xavier ने
They're
जो
willing
उस
to
पे
try
आ
to,
गए
like, assert a lot of
बाइक
authority
वाले
into the
पे
game very early. Sure, that doesn't mean that they're bullying a couple of squads that are trying to find footing, but that's what you got to do. If this is all about competition at the end of the day, it's not about making friends. And they're coming out with specific goals, and they did end up pretty decent on points at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think if you look at the current makeup of this PNC, if Brazil is in top 8,
You
right,
never know, bhai. You
Argentina
never know.
has a very similar pedigree to Gibson. They're going to be able to potentially challenge those kinds of positions, because you think about that region as a whole, they play with each other a lot, and they're mixed up in all those teams as well. So I think Argentina's got some good chances.
Yeah, they really do. Look at last year. I think them and Brazil won a bunch of maps over the course of the previous PNC, and you speak about Brazil. That rivalry between those two countries as well, like, yes, they're both South American, but there is a rivalry. Like, if Argentina see Brazil take a knock and they're beside them, they're third party without a hesitation. I think that can maybe hurt them a few times as well. You know, wanting to hurt your rivals so much can actually impact your own chances. But good start for Argentina, points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, rivals, right? You've got teams like Neutral, who had a bit of a tougher time in this game, Mark.
Japan,
they kind of fell victim to the, okay, we're in the chinky and
दो
now
तो
we
पहले ही
have to
down हो गए
skirt around the edges. Which, to be fair, Levante actually did a pretty darn good job of putting in the boot against Denmark towards the end. But there's only so much you can do, I think, trying to make the transitions later on in that game.
Well, it's one of those things, right? It's always well known that you only commit to a city if you know it's going to end there. I think they didn't have much options. They went there. Denmark.
Canada वाला spray देखा तूने
We know
वो
he's a powerhouse, right? He's always going to dig deep.
बोटियार्ड के पास वाला ब्रिज का
Get caught up by the zone.
पास वाले ब्रिज का
So much damage actually for Denmark being able to exit, which kind of put their game plan at the back. And remember,
यूक्रेन का गेम देखा वैसे ही
at that point assumed that Denmark were coming out and they were the first team
वही
to try
भाई
and hold off the Philippines.
edge to edge
And
fight
Team Australia
सबसे
coming in.
best
And actually for them, it was Levante that underpinned their game plan.
Yeah, not bad at all.
देख अगर फायर पावर है तो भाई
As
क्यों
we
ना
are
एज
getting
पे
word that
ही
we have just
उसको
a small
ग्राइंड
delay
करे
before we actually get into our
सेंटर
next
करके
game
टाइम
here.
वेस्ट क्यों
I was
करना
thinking to myself, Matrim, you know, obviously with the World Cup going on, we heard a lot of chants from
वैसे
some of
उनके पास
these
जोन भी नहीं
fans
था
of teams
एज ही थे
like
उनके
America's,
सारे
of course,
फिर
having
वो
the
जो
main
ईस्ट
chant, "We
शिफ्ट
believe
आया उन
that
पे
they will
तब तो भाई
win,
चांदी हो
yeah,
गई उनकी
just, you know, top tier stuff, Matrim.
साला
Do you have
सीना
any
इन्होंने
chance
पहले
that
क्लियर कर ली थी
Yeah, of course. You come to the American.
नॉर्वे पे भाई क्या
I can't make any of the
ड्राइव बाय
chances
मारा
because I
है
was more on the
नॉर्वे का वो
side of
कौन
what-
बंदा
I'll be
था
honest, the
करमेन था
European
क्या
chance
था
about America,
हीमैन
way better in my opinion.
चल गाड़ी में बैठ रहा है
Can't
उन
get
दो
into
बंदों
the
के सामने
nitty-gritty on what a lot of those were a lot.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any chance for your specific teams, or you think anything along those lines?
उन्हें
Because
सब
like
तोड़
I'm
दिया
guessing some
उन्होंने
Aussies
सब
probably have some
तोड़
good
दिया
ones.
हाँ
Well,
I can't speak to those, but they're probably cuss words related.
Yeah, they've got a really good one.
नहीं फिलिपिन ने भी
But
अच्छा
yeah,
काम
we
किया
can't
भाई
say that
kills
one. And all the problem
फिलिपिन
is
का
that
लग नहीं रहा था
British
मेरे को जिस
actually, Mark, now
पोजी
that I
पे
think
वो
about
आई
it,
थी
all
ना
of ours
जिस
all
पोजी
do
जो
have
पोजी
customers,
खेल रही थी
so
वो
it's very difficult.
We haven't got anything we can put on production. I can tell
No.
you. Maybe
I've dug us a hole here, haven't
मेरी
I,
बीवी ने
really?
भाई
I think
दो
it's
डबल हेड दे दिए दो बंदों को
We just have to do the Netherlands dance. That's the only thing we can do, right?
Oh, the sideways
Side to
thing.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No chance for you, Gibson. No.
I got taught a chant at PNC last year by the Norwegians in Norwegian. It's definitely not stream safe, but it was played on the broadcast all the time wrong. So hey, it was a lot of fun. I actually wonder, Mark, maybe you might know. Did any of the Norwegians make their way to Korea this year? Because they gave me this.
There are some there.
They gave me this last year.
Aw.
Yeah, look, my little.
Oh, that's cool.
A little Norway reindeer.
Little moose.
Yeah. It
Oh,
was-
reindeer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a reindeer.
Oh, okay. I've not seen a reindeer in real life. I saw a moose though when I lived in Finland, and let me tell you, that thing was ginormous. Right? I ain't going anywhere near those moose. They're big. All right. So. Anyway, we'll see if Norway can make something happen as well off on the other side of things, because they had a bit of a harder time here, Mark, of course, kind of getting caught off on the south side because they got stuck in the bulldozer that was Ukraine down on that south side.
I think bulldozers is an understatement, right? They were one of the. I think they were the alarming team. Once they got wiped so quickly, we saw Japan leave. Like, we're like, no, we're not having anything to do with it. But you got to look at their position. Their position was well. I actually backed in for a team that potentially will qualify. I think it's a strong team. I've got James, we need Tekers and Anthony. Hitman obviously is going to be a big hitter as well. And look at their position. They were playing in the right spot. Now, and you've got Team Ukraine to sort of point direction, and they were the next target. And the fact that we saw Hakatori of an M16, a gun which I can't even hit a barn door if I stand in front of it. The fact that he was getting knocked, he spins around and gets Vex, who's trying to get the third party on this, is insane. I think though that positioning from Ukraine is going to set the stance. People are going to avoid them, and the question is who's going to try and stand up and stop it, because if they take so many points away, when we look at that cutoff line, it's going to become pretty close.
Yeah, it's a funny one having that M16 actually, because then the knock after you see, and he has a mini in hand, right? So I think that the Matrim, the Ukraine drop is an interesting one on Erangel, because I feel like they know, okay, yeah, we're very used to this drop, of course, we're going to go here, we're going to have whatever loot we can have, but with a circle like that, you're not moving fast, so your loot is a little bit thin compared to, you know, what you would need, and you need those knocks to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, just a good setup off the go. They're already getting you in position to kind of maneuver for it. But, I mean, it looks like we're ready to go to the next one.
We are. All right, let's do it. Thank you very much for your patience, guys, as you've listened to the PNC podcast here from us. It's time to give Gibson and Mark the reins here as we get to game number 2.
It is time to get ready, Mark. We're going to Miramar for the second map of the day, where Ukraine will just look to increase that lead they got in game number 1 straight off the bat. But the flight path, Mark, really player friendly, going from that northeast down to the southwest, just slightly north of Picado.
Yeah, just tease us through that kind of Death Valleys in the southwest, that El Pozo, we get lots of zones around there. But looking at the hot drop map, I don't think we get too many clashes apart from obviously the one which we'd indicated earlier, Argentina potentially going after Team India. This time they've not hot dropped them here, Gibson, but they're in a position that actually they could get looted and apply pressure, or hold them out if the zone goes down towards that southwest side.
Yeah, 100%. They're on the ground early too, which I think in the new way that the PUBG's played with the zones, those early flight drops are going to be a massive boost as well, because you can get all your loot, you can get on the move by the time that phase 1 circle starts closing in. But when you look at the map, Mark, it's Canada have dropped all the way down on the very southern side of the map by Valle del Mar, and there is nobody anywhere near them.
Let's go. Second match is up.
Point, and that's Team Turkey. So again, a couple of teams going late here, which is not expected, especially when we look at obviously.
Okay, सबका easy है, कोई hot drop नहीं.
Plan obviously has a option for
Western.
that. So the shift, it is pretty much in the middle. We do push towards that El Pozo.
Chinese type पे भी अच्छा zone है. Philippines पे भी काफी अच्छा zone है.
They're sitting in the middle. They are taking the lead
Finland
from
पे
the
भी
and
अच्छा
looking
है.
for that twisted minds drop.
Yeah, but look at the drop they have. Like, they're in a great spot for anywhere the circle went. And
Turkey
I think keep an eye
जल्दी
for
निकल
them
जाए
to
तो
maybe
ज़्यादा
catch
बढ़िया है.
Australia as they rotate in. But you'd expect with Tigleton on the team that moving from Picado, they'll be moving more towards that Monte Nuevo side. But I'm looking towards the edge,
Monte
right?
कोई नहीं उतरा
You've
भाई.
got so many teams on that western or eastern side of the circle.
Monte किसी
Kazakhstan,
को drop ही
Ukraine, UK, and Malaysia. And a team with a big split, Mark. Do you see the Philippines? 3 players in the center of the circle. And then I think, is it Shen? I'm not sure who it is. It's in the middle of both Argentina, Japan, and even Malaysia.
I think he was going for that, to drop in the car and got taken away by Argentina. So he had to force his way back into the middle, arguably to some safety, as they would have maybe expected that team sort of playing towards that south. Gonna have a quick look though at Battlegrounds. Again, a big highlight. I feel like for me, they've not kind of hit that 6th gear. They're kind of in this sort of learning development stage back, as obviously we've had major resets, we've had some changes here. Twisted Minds obviously coming to light, but Battlegrounds is such a big name and more importantly, a big brain when it comes down to this, because he's the one making a lot of these calls and shots and directing the team into the right positions.
Oh, when I think of this map, Battlegrounds is the first player that comes to mind. I'm not going to lie. Remember, he used to get himself up on top of that hill where you see kind of Finland and Corexi playing, overlooking Mini-Milli. But we watch Malaysia as they rotate in. I actually think Malaysia are a fun team to watch, right? Shen, AJ, you got Empton there as well. They actually have real pop-off moments. Like, I think when you get into the final lobby, it can get a little bit different. But Malaysia, they're a fun team to watch, Mark.
Yeah, they're an unknown entity in the context they might apply pressure and push, or they have the hold capabilities. It looks like they're making a play to sort of this south side of San Martino. They're taking some high ground here. Shen might will go up and take some more high ground and get a little bit more information intel as they do look across the other side, look further into the play where Denmark is now going. So good position, early rotation from them. A lot of these teams now getting set up.
Yeah, and then elsewhere, you got Canada. They've not made their way in from that southern side of the map yet. India still looting up by Campo Militar. So some teams waiting and just letting the rest of the lobby kind of move in, and then they'll fill the outer edges of that circle as Tig is going to just try to parkour his way up on top of this high ground, and that'll give him wonderful lines of sight, you know, looking towards Ukraine, looking towards neutral. Like, if he can stick the landing, he'll get lots of... Yeah,
Rain थोड़ी बारिश करा दो यार, गर्मी
more
बहुत
leg
हो रही
day.
I love that the Observer's sticking.
There we go.
There we go. We knew he was going to get it. The Observer believed in Tig and he finds his way up. Back to Canada very quickly. Adam has made his way very quickly in towards zone. So at least for Canada, they've got a stronghold. I think back to your point, it gives them a little bit more extra time there, Gibson, to be able to like try and loot, make sure they get what they need. I wouldn't be surprised for Canada, especially they're coming on the sort of south side, to try and find that kind of emergency pickup if they need to bounce. If that zone shifts back towards that east side, I think they might be one of the early teams to kind of get airborne.
I'm enjoying watching this new PUBG platformer game we're getting to watch, seeing all the climbing and the jumping by these players as they try to get themselves up on the high ground. You've got Malaysia. They've taken just the northern side of power plant here, as I think Aduzi's already gone past, but Tulans is making his way around that now, just feeding the information with the fact that Malaysia are in place. But it's starting to get very hot in and around the center of that circle, Mark, with Philippines, neutral, Finland, Argentina, Denmark, all within kind of touching distance of each other already.
Let us go Japan. फिर से rotate करते हुए बस इस बार ना पिटे.
They were looking to go aggressive against Team India. They've done it on game number 1. Why are they not doing it here?
Panzer clip is incoming.
Has the Panzer. Here's the cast.
Leo.
But the Panzer hits though and Scab falls early.
AS says motto to the Finns as he speaks out once more, but he's going to get taken down by Sata. He'll get one on the board, and that is an easy pickup for them. CJ thought about coming in, but having seen his teammate deleted so quickly, he's just going to fall back to the rest of the team. But you know what? For the Philippines, it's a
nice.
point
और अबे भाई उसने F दबा दिया. What the?
jump out.
अरे भाई.
He was ready to take the fight, but Team Japan sent it straight away through Oasis. The game behind
Arre
and
bhai.
for Team India, they get another point on the board.
Hey, you know what? They're 9th in the leaderboard after a few minutes in the second map. It's not going too bad for them at all, but translucent.
भाई उसने F दबा दिया.
Go pick up some loot. Unforgiven is holding down Evan here as well there. Really looking to get some points on the board, and Fevin will just move off on into the distance.
भाई.
This is a level of aggression that we didn't see, Mark, from last
भाई
year.
उसका F कहीं माउस पे तो नहीं था. अगर भाई अगर उसका माउस पे है तब तो भाई बहुत बुरा हुआ.
They've been doing okay, so they've been trying to figure out kind of that pacing, because I feel like the year before it was about the pacing. It didn't get the momentum down. Diffix though goes up.
Diffix got deleted. अभी इसकी sound नहीं इसको. What?
He sticks it quick.
Yeah, good news for the rest of the lobby as Ukraine will lose one. Diffix is going to fall, and Luke will confirm that one out. Bustic with the nade in the hand. Will try toss it through that letterbox window, looking to catch another one, but Bustic all by himself. All he's got to do, Mark, is stay alive until the rest of Navi can get here. Navi, Ukraine.
Yeah, but everybody's going to get me.
Finland वाले revive भी करने लग गए
That's the
भाई.
cutter as well. Lou 12, he uses the smoke. That's going to be a bit of distraction as he doesn't move his way forward. Looks to find himself in a position to try and take the fight. The flank comes around the other side. Hakatori does find Monty there, but Tipton, he's on the high ground. Can Hakatori find safety? Does find safety behind the car.
Yeah, Tig's got to be quick though, because he's got to help his teammate before he can fall. But Fairest will confirm out Flood now. Luke 12 getting in the fight, and Hakatori is in that fight. Luke 12 takes it.
भाई. भाई वो clutch हो गया भाई ये तो.
They are a breed above arrest. Here comes another rotation. Comes in Malaysia on the defense though, as they have to try and find that reposition. They take that high ground. So he's got all the information that's needed. MC though has the opportunity now to back away.
Yeah, he's gone. He is out of there as Shen tries to get the off angle on the verse 3. Wants to get the point on the board confirmed, but I feel like might just be the signal to get on to live to fight another day in this one, as Malaysia, they'll manage to keep all 4 players up. Fairest will confirm out that kill now on to Monty, but Ukraine and Australia still going head-to-head over by that bowl.
Tiverton, the final player now for Team Australia. He's on the hold. Ukraine knows the last one.
Let's go where the shift
The
goes.
rest of the team. But he is on the high ground. Not an easy push. They might have to rely on Hakatori to try and deliver a headshot.
Center भाई.
The zone.
यूक्रेन तोड़ गई देगी लॉबी. सही में भाई. एक तो इतने टाइम बाद आए हैं. फेरिस्ट और हैकेटोरी का तो पहला PNC होगा ये.
Yeah, and watch for Ukraine trying to pick up that blue chip and try to get all 4 players back and alive in the fight. They do have a few stations not too far away that they can utilize. The closest one being just
पहला
north of
होता है
their
तो भाई
position,
बहुत चार्ज
as
अप
we have
खेलते
a
हैं
look
लोग.
at the
भाई
next
मोंटे कोई उतरा ही नहीं
engagement
था
that is
भाई.
likely to happen, and says Malaysia and Neutral look like they're probably going to be the next team to go head to head.
ये लोग साउथ वेस्ट नॉर्थ वेस्ट से जा रहे हैं लोग.
think it's actually Malaysia stops because team neutral's in front of him, and Denmark comes in behind him. Shindo exchanges great shot. Gustav, he's down to one more hit, but no, he finds safety in the dip. Still is Miramar.
Yeah, he's going to keep on going now. Is Gustav, of course, playing now in the North Americas region. Will try to get a first aid off as Ketter will join him.
Monte का इनको नॉर्थ की तरफ का आउटर मिल सकता है शायद.
In the distance, just to keep them moving on their merry way. Remember,
जापान वाली की ग्रुप टीम है, 3 मैन है वो.
A little earlier on inside the game.
और जापान के आगे एक टीम ले चुकी थी मोंटे पहले से ही.
Very close to the center of the circle. Really good rotating from them over by that western side.
I'm just worried about their 2-2 split.
Yeah.
They're kind of got 2 in that corner of Monty, but they've taken 2 north, K minus Shinboy. They're holding that kind of higher ground towards that north, overlooking, it's like I still call it the face compound that Team Turkey sitting in. Good spot if they can try and defend it. But again, you think of this, we've got 16 teams stored up, 58 players, and we're going to be fighting for these areas. These are kind of key areas these teams want to try and take.
Yeah, Batu's going to just start digging himself a little hole here as well that he can peek up from and provide him a little bit of safety. And I think that the pickaxe, right, as much as it's made it really easy for teams to make defensible positions, something we saw a lot of, Mark, at PGS's, where, well, if you dig a bowl and someone tosses a nade, gravity's going to do a lot of the rest of the work, right, and bring that nade right where it needs to go as we look at maybe some of the suggested roads that some of these
इंडिया के नाम पे इंडोनेशिया का वो लगा हुआ है भाई.
Turkey again. Yeah, Turkey again.
AI से दिखा रहा है ये.
Something I'm paying. I like the ridiculous rotations. Powered by Craft and
Actually में अब निकल जाना चाहिए इनको.
Pretty much on the money.
बहुत time लगा रहे हैं लोग.
Sort of rotations on their way in. There'll be some more engagements though. Philippines sees Denmark over the top, has to get the information out towards that east side, but they come back. Keta with the bolty in hand. You don't want to overpeak him because he might be down in the dust.
Yeah, you always talk about it. I think when we were away recently, you actually said to Ketter you think he's one of the best bolty players in the world, if not the best.
Nice.
He's got a bad idea. Ketter's going to run over his teammate. CJ will find Mixon and the Philippines putting in the work on the D. Not so great for them right now. Mixon will probably be the next one to fall. Well, what do you do now if you're Denmark? Do you try to bring the fight to the 3 members of the Philippines, or with another player going down, do you just back off now and try to live the fight another day?
अच्छा अब ये सेंटर ट्राई कर रहे हैं. स्पेस जो छोड़ रहा है ना उनकी स्पेस ले रहे हैं. अगर नॉर्थ हैं तो.
They have to now try and hold, but arguably they have to hold the Philippines working their way in, and that is a high hill to run their way over. So the more that Denmark can try and hold here, they'd hope teams pray their way around. They might take a big stab at the Philippines. Nice rotation round for them.
लेकिन बाटो इन जो खेल रहा है भैंस की आंख मारेगा नहीं.
Did you read that fun fact, by the way? Beamy apparently is a heavy snorer. Also, fun fact for the viewers at home. Last year PNC, there was a bunch of Koreans with Beamy signs. The Korean fans adore Beamy. Like he was the only player that I saw signs for in the venue.
Philippines बहुत अच्छा खेलते हैं भाई.
Yeah, to be fair, he went an entourage of people that were chasing him down. The entourage at the moment seems to be Philippines, as they do see Finland.
Malaysia
This gives the opportunity now for Denmark to move away, but they move closer towards the defensive line, the dug trenches from Team Neutral.
Yeah, Batulans just peeking over. Remember, Denmark have taken a
beating already.
Beamy and Ketter, the last 2 players standing as they continue to lose a little bit of fortification here, and Batu will just use the bike to move silently a little bit deeper inside.
Denmark
just on the edge of power grid. India, Mark, still all 4 players alive, but what does that really mean? Because we still have all 16 teams left as we move deeper into phase 3.
I just don't believe that Beamy's a snorer. I just think he must dream about PUBG. He hasn't got time to snore. He's full on his approach. India has the opportunity.
इनको रीड नहीं है इनके साइड में बंदे हैं.
Canada, but do they have any idea?
अब तो वो निकल ही गए. भैंस की टाइमिंग हो गई उनकी तो.
Meters away from actually scrap that. They have disengaged. They are going back around as they look for an entry point now. Norway trying to stop the entry point coming in from Team Japan.
Yeah, Japan want to just make ground here because on the last map they got caught out on rotation as Hoba will start spraying over towards Fevan, who takes a ton of damage, but Hoba just can't get the angle he needs.
अबे जंप करके क्या मार देगा क्या?
We'll keep on moving in this time towards Norway as Jeans will just jump back into BDRM and get that first aid off.
It's dangerous. He's positioned himself in such a good position, especially for a south shift here. And he can just jump back in, get their men back on. Japan using the sandstorm at the right time. They find their way through. They have lost one. Qatar is now gone as they try and climb high ground. Tiggleton not too far away. He did have a panzer in hand as well, so lucky for Team Japan, they look for the high ground.
Oh, I think that Devin almost might have made a mistake there. He could have first aided inside the sandstorm, but instead he's going to lose that Bronco. He steps up in the distance as Tiggleton, the solo for Australia, will try to get that kill on the board, but Fevin just about, well, just as I say, maybe the IM5 from Kazakhstan will get that knock. And now Tiggleton, he says the Panzer catches T-Bone.
Nice.
And Australia get their second point mark, but here come Australia.
Yeah, that's a 3-man here. They're going to try and make the push. Tiggleton, though, is a 1-man army. We know that.
Oh my
God, he gets the back. Vex jumps down and he falls out. That's
Reload.
2 here in Australian. Digging out a Michael.
Nice one, bhai. Ye to clutch ho gaya.
To stop Tiggleton, though, but that's 2 points on the board for Team Australia.
India pushing up here. K-Mine's going to fall behind the snipe ball.
Smoke
He's
kar do.
trailed back by Pipa, not too far away. Using that DMR. Finna using the smoke for some cover now. Remember, Canada, they of course have a different roster this year. K-Mine stepping back in, and that's a perfect nade. That should confirm it, but
Nice.
King steals it away.
Bhai, Canada to
does a lot of damage. Shinboy is going to be the next to fall.
Canada ko to game hi pinch ho gaya bhai.
Argentina again.
Adam said, no more, I'm out, I'm digging down, I'm going to dig my fortification.
Kill bhi mil gaya.
Try and
Nice.
hold Philippines will go for the top side, but Torres will fall down though, as it is death from above. Levante doesn't know which way to look, but he's got a target inside. He drops his way down, does find the exchange though, as another one will fall from the Philippines though, and for TU Neutral though, they're backed up into a corner.
Yeah, Aya's going to go and get that
Actually,
res off
मैं
from
heal करना
Levante
चाहिए था
with an
उसे.
aid at the ready, but jumping
Revive
on board with
किया.
Ukraine now pushing towards UK again. Michael, he's going to fall at the hands of that first
Wow,
lead, and that
buddy,
leaves
wow, wow.
Vard now. The
Ukraine
last
on
player
neutral
standing. He's got all the Ukrainians pushing aggressively
रुक ही नहीं
towards
रहे.
him here, Mark. They're going to step on it, and Ukraine are going to wipe out Team UK for the second game in a row.
Yeah, 2 out of 2
Great
here.
Britain is
Ukraine
also
versus
out.
UK, that's nearly death for them. No, definitely, it was Australia, which I suppose dispatched
Kingdom.
of their opportunity. Philippines, though, they have been dispatched down to a single player.
Ryzen knock hote hue, Forgiven knock hote hue.
Now to try and make their way down, and it's going to come in from Lou a little bit further afield, catches that one out. So Philippines fall straight after.
Mashallah.
What a job by
Percentage
Levante,
कुछ
though,
भी
just
बचा है भाई.
keeping himself alive in that fight, Mark. How many times did we see at the last PGS where if it wasn't for Levante, Vitality would have been in shambles as
Team
India
India
are
got
going to get wiped
eliminated.
out by Argentina, but Levante is a heck of a player.
दूसरी बार फाइट हुई है इनके साथ.
Correct. No for interviews, yes for aggression.
एक बार बच गए थे, दूसरी बार बच गए.
Levante, huge nade, he comes off the high ground, finds one, sees the opportunity, underarm though, Japan falling down, DraftKing gets Beamy though, and for the vehicle, well, Levante has a clean sweep for Team Japan.
Yeah,
Ek
right on
side
cue. We speak about him, he gets
kari,
it done as we jump back on
Ukraine
board with the ever so
बहुत कम
talkative Finn.
जाएगी
I'm going to say it, that interview by
हाँ,
Corexi
वही.
was
Qualification
probably the most
बहुत कम
talkative
जाएगी.
interview I've ever seen by a Finnish player. Like, I think Hakatori's interview was more Finnish than the Finnish one.
वही है 15-20 का.
Okay, let's get the best out of him.
20
She
तो
knows
नहीं,
now, she knows
20
his
से तो
game
ऊपर
plan.
30-35 होएगा क्योंकि 2 दिन का है ना.
Ace in hand uses the train to his advantage, but the zone is now ticking. That's the grenade, cooks it out. Zone shifts away, has to make an explosive dart here. There goes the grenade, swings.
और यूक्रेन और न्यूट्रल ना पूरा वार्म अप के मोड से खेल रही है कि भाई आज ही तोड़ देते हैं सबको. कल फाइनल में तो क्योंकि पिटने वाले हैं.
A problem for them as they push in towards Argentina. People will confirm out that kill as Corexi tosses an 8 and a molly. Still inside the blue, taking about 5 damage every single second he sets there. But what a molly that is. Emmy is going to fall as things get a little bit hot here for Argentina at the edge. And Chinese Taipei still.
Okay, और एक HP.
Yeah, he's going to get done with
Zone से
zone.
knock
He
होते
does
हुए.
go down for zone. They should get that confirmation they do.
ले लिया भाई.
Worked his way down. Scav, obviously, is the final player here now for Finland. I like the aggression, but they didn't counter that sort of north sweep, though. And for Chinese Taipei, they're going to continue to apply the pressure. And Argentina get a bit more breathing room.
अबे बोल्टी मार दी उसको बकते बकते.
Yeah, and Argentina, they're still sitting in fourth, so it's not too bad for them after 2 maps. But Malaysia now, no kills just yet, but all 4 players up. Looking to maybe put some work in, but look at poor Ketter. He's trapped in a shack. But I think the big problem for Lou is with only 1 nade and no BZs, it's a little bit of a trickier fight with Ketter than maybe he would want. But Ketter distracted a little bit further away with a bolt. So Lou's just waiting for the right time to fire these shots off.
Argentina also got eliminated.
He knows where he is. He's trying to, I suppose, get the rest of the guys in. They might have the utility that is needed to do. He takes the high ground, sees Chinese Taipei, so they've got a balance over peeking towards Keta. Keta looking towards that top side. Chinese Taipei, though, has to try and leave, but they leave and they have to wrap their way around Team Turkey. Their position already here. Now, they've got some opportunity, but where do they go? Sheila gets Levante down. But if Chinese Taipei don't stop here, they're going to apply their pressure into
Yeah, and they're just going to park up here for now, play the edge of the zone, but that Bronco's not going to be too much longer of this world as Denmark will be the next team to fall. Placement point window has now been opened as we're inside our top 8, and Celtic from Turkey has the off angle here on the Chinese Taipei, and 4 kills for Turkey already, and they've got the northern section of the circle on lockdown. This could be a really good game for the Turks.
I fear because we haven't seen Ukraine for a while and have got back to a 4. Like, where are they hunting? Estee, he's hunting though. And Komarko finds the final blow for a doozy. So for neutral, maybe down some bodies. Final body is going to be Lou. 8 kills is a big game from them. The zone, it might be the final, but Stab in the dark. But Scav is still out there as well, so they're looking for the final blow between Scav for Lou.
Yeah, a lot of this lobby left alive is from EMEA as well. So I think for you guys, you're pretty happy, Mark, you and James, with where this one might be looking at as Hoba will get that knock on the upchen as Kazakhstan playing from the south, putting in work in Finland. Eventually will go down as Turkey find their 6th kill of the game.
अबे यार ये यूक्रेन का फिर चिकन आने वाला है ऐसा लग रहा है.
This could be really good for Norway if it goes the right way.
मलेशिया पे अच्छा तो ये है. अब इनको थोड़ा फैल के खेल लेना चाहिए भाई. मलेशिया वालों को.
Remember, James was here. RDM positioned up very early on from the guys, so they're going to try and now control that southwest corner. They've got to make sure actually
ये तो साले हिल पैटर्न में ही 2 पॉइंट ले लेते हैं.
Work their way in. Turkey has a compound as well, so I'm alluding to that Chinese Taipei. I'm alluding towards that Kazakhstan of like where do they want to breach? We might see a little bit of a split here. Kazakhstan. This is kind of Norway. Chinese Taipei, they have a decision to get in the third party or moving towards Turkey.
Yeah, and Turkey, I think, with the warehouse they have, they're in a really good spot. But Chinese Taipei, Mark, that they don't have a vehicle. Like, I just don't see how they're going to make this one work. Particularly, I think the only good thing for them might be the fact Kazakhstan will probably be a little distracted as they try and make their own rotate in from the south. But as you can see, Turkey are looking to give them no quarter whatsoever.
No. I can't see them getting out of here. They need a massive smoke line wall here. Turkey don't need to move. They've got the high ground on them. If they played towards that south side, did we argue that sort of Norway would potentially come in with a good couple of shots? Forget that. Malaysia's got the high ground on them as well. Komarko finds not just 1 but 2 for the price of 1.
इनका तो गेम ही डेड था भाई. जैसे ये यहाँ है.
Turkey now on 8 kills as they start to climb the leaderboard. They're now in 6th.
Looking good for me. This is one of my picks for actually the fantasy, as Shilla will confirm out that final player moving Turkey up to 9, and that leaves just 6 teams left alive. Lou though,
भाई ये मार के प्लस ना कर दे.
4 first aids left, but I think this is going to be where we will see neutral team end up on this one, Mark. It's been they've got a lot of kills to neutral, but it's been tough sledding so far in the first 2 maps.
Yes, it's bit zone sort of shifting away from them. Not that actually seeing away from coming towards this sort of west side. James finds Komarko, so puts Turkey back in their box, forcing them back towards their compound and kicks Komarko out in his zone. That gives them the opportunity. Look at the trench line as they set up now the defensive against Kazakhstan. But Lou ends it is 6 a survival game. But you'll take it.
Yeah, and they just about sneak in on the southern side of the circle now, but Celtic's got a Panzer at the ready, but AJ's got him lined up, and Malaysia will find another knock on to Turkey. Just 2 players left standing now for the Turks, and
Malaysia को ये game बहुत अच्छे से निकालना पड़ेगा.
He focuses towards James, who, by the way, Mark, still has that BRDM, so he's going to hop back inside in first aid. So really, it's just a case of take some damage, hop in, and that might just give Turkey the time they need to get the res off here on the Celtic.
You've got to remember as well, given the information that BRDM's not too far away, that's why we're seeing the Panzers in hand. On the other side, though, the knocks, the distraction from Norway has potentially allowed a little bit of an opening here for Kazakhstan. They're going to launch their smoke walls as they will try and charge the trenches that Norway have set up. ANC launches a grenade out. He's going to try and wait. It's going to land. It lands correctly. It does. Oh my God, he finds a first and he sprays the bullets in. They just need more.
Last nade connect
Yeah, and with the blue zone coming in, that's going to cause even more problems now for Kazakhstan as They'll try to get that res off on Diversary in just a few seconds time. The smoke wall beginning to dissipate, but Tekers confirms out the kill for Norway. Defex, he's going to catch one. Actually, no, it's Tekers who finds Ermac as he tried to make his rotate in Kazakhstan. It is not going good for them at all here, Mark, as they're being shot at from every single side.
Yeah, Malaysia, they're kind of zeroing in on this. They've tunnel vision. They've forgotten about Ukraine. That's right next to him. Hoba, the sub in, the super sub. He launches a grenade out, but it's going to be a little bit too short. The only advantage they're going to get there is going to dig a trench pretty quick for them. That might give them a little opportunity, a bit of breathing space away from Team Norway.
Yeah, and just keep an eye on that mini-map in the bottom right corner. Malaysia getting oh so close to Ukraine now as well. Tekers, he steps on up, he finds one. There's just one player left standing. I am 5. He's trying to stay alive here, but he can't. He-Man will get the kill.
One
and
tap.
there's 4 teams left alive. And it's going to be Turkey, Norway, Ukraine, and Malaysia. And Celtics caught out, but He-Man falls as well.
Nice trade.
Yeah, exchange out between Turkey and Norway. He's looking to try to get a confirmation. Fredo doesn't quite get any clicks dry in the 5-5-6 though. He finds a little over the top. Medspay has to back off and move his way around the zone, but it shifts down towards that southwest. But they need to clear pretty quickly because Malaysia is going to go head-to-head with Team Ukraine.
Shilla just creeping up on the other side though as Sly tries to hold off the rest of Ukraine, but the Rock is going to provide great cover for the Ukrainians. AK at the ready as the nade's going to get tossed up on top of that ridge line, but this is a real split here from Malaysia. 2 on top of the Rocks, 2 on the other side, and really I'm surprised Norway aren't putting more pressure onto this fight from the side, but they're very focused, Mark, on Turkey and what's going on the other edge.
They've got to get rid of Turkey quickly, right? And that's their problem. Hakatori sweeping his way down. He's a solo ranger for Team Ukraine. That's the reason why he gets an open. Him will fall down. Shida finds Malaysia on the other side. As he gets forced around the adjacent side of the blue zone, is going to cause damage in. Finds Shida, and the BRDM from Team Ukraine, no, it's waiting for Shen to jump off to get them on over.
इस पे पेंजर था वही मर गया भाई.
As well for later in the game, if they're going to need his boost, it's going to hop back inside that BRDM, and the BZ going to just start ticking away damage, forcing them into that reverse as they get a little bit closer to Defix. Malaysia now 2 players left alive, and if Norway can deal with Turkey here, they can pick up what's left of this fight, but still Ukraine putting pressure on Mark, still moving towards the last 2 players of Malaysia.
Yeah, Turkey down to 2, but don't forget they've got the Panthers as well. So for Norway, they can't overstep. Hakatori finds Emptos. Diffix now trying to make the play over. Flash comes over towards the top on the adjacent side, doesn't find the player. Now looking for him, sees the down player.
अबे कैसे?
अबे भाई. He's built different, and Shen eats dust.
He's just better now as Ukraine start turning their attention down the hill. Shen have to dealt with Marco. Turkey starting to put in real work as well as Norway are down to a 2. Big opportunity for Ukraine now to go back-to-back on the wings. Spray from Bustik. He gets another, and it's all going to code Marco here.
भाई फार्म हो रही है भाई चीजें भाई.
Looks like Ukraine are going to go back-to-back.
फार्म भाई. कह रहा मैं लूँगा किल.
It's a win. Ukraine in the wings will find their opportunity.
और ये तो भैया फाइनल में.
Let us go. A win from Team Ukraine.
Oh look, it's just 2024 Navi, and they are having a fun with it. James, back-to-back wins for Ukraine, and we could probably already think about stamping them into that grand finals at the weekend.
What a confidence.
All I was thinking was, oh no, everybody else.
Game में confidence होना चाहिए. तुम चाहे कैसा ही खेलते हो.
Once again, and then we flicked them towards the end of their match, and I'm like, oh no, they have a BRDM as well. This is problematic.
BRDM high ground with this roster. Oh, this is going to be a problem. It might just end up being the whole world versus
भाई इन्होंने फिर से वही 23 points निकाल लिए.
I mean, as we take a look back at the highlights as well, Mark, there were moments where I thought, oh, okay, actually, yeah, Australia, they're bringing the fight here to Ukraine, and then all of a sudden, oh, never mind.
45 पॉइंट तो इनके 2 मैच में ही हो गए. साला पता नहीं कल क्या होगा.
On the high ground, unfortunately for them, but I like it, and I think, as Matt, as you just said, like, the rest of the lobby needs to look at this. They're either going to go, right, Ukraine's through, let's just get out of their way because they're going to kill whoever's in front of them. Or will we see other teams like Team Australia actually try and take the fight? Because if you can get rid of Ukraine, maybe you're that team that can have that big game, get a victory, and also secure your spot.
I've got to err on what you said at the beginning of that. Like, I think Gibson, it's got to be a stay away from Ukraine because they're going to have too much impact on a lobby like that, right? If you're coming in, you're getting back to back, you're going to feel so comfortable as them. You know you're probably going to be through just off the back of this alone, never mind anything that comes along in the next game. So they are a monster to deal with.
Yeah, and when they're in this position already, it makes them even more scary because they can just have fun with it and really put up the pressure and ramp things in going into the weekend. So I think it's tough. And it's like we said, back in 2024, this roster were playing together. So whatever rust there might be for some other countries, I don't think Ukraine will have it.
Tough one as we take a look back at these last moments as well. One thing that did shine through as well, though, Matchroom, also watching that game, Turkey. This is an important game from them, considering the first one.
Well, they managed to make it in the later stages, so they got only 6 placement points in game number 1. No kills or anything else like that, just due to being in the catastrophe in the south. But this time around, we really saw like Code Marco, Sheila find some good successes, found some kills on this one, push themselves up in the leaderboard, and whenever you've got a point sponge in Ukraine up at the top, every single point that you can get, specifically if you're trying to encroach on that 10-point kill line, you're going to feel incredibly good.
Well, get used to this, because we've already seen it twice, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time as they're able to bag a ton of kills, are Ukraine once again. I mean, the problem is, Mark, we saw as the rosters were being announced, and we saw that there was a lift of a limitation on these teams being able to come from individual rosters and things like that. And we were like, okay, this is almost an unfair roster, but man of the match will be Schiller with 7 here, Mark.
He played well. You remember he was by himself eventually at a point where he went and sort of pushed up the north side. And as Matt said, like they had to have a bit of a, I wouldn't say salvation game because there's only 2 games in, but they only got those placement points game number 1. So this was a sort of an opportunity for us to show Turkey actually as they go to that level of aggression. And they did play aggressive. They pushed their way in that northwest corner. They fought other teams off coming out from that old phase compound. And again, they find themselves in 2nd place. So that's 12 points alone just on placement.
Yeah, huge stuff. 19 points go the way of Turkey for them, as Ukraine does take 21 as well. And Gibson, just to kind of remark on Turkey again, because I think we're going to be talking about Ukraine a lot. Turkey, for this one, 25 points go their way. Schiller for S2G in PEC and PGS was really the standout here, trying to drag the team along to some of the higher placements. So hopefully we get to see even more of Schiller throughout the day.
Yeah, I think Drag is right. Like, it's been tough sledding in those PGSs for them, but he has been the standout player. And look, it's a different roster than what Turkey had last year as well. They weren't great, so I think with the 2 changes they've made, I think they are a lot stronger, and the teamwork does look a little better so far too.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Matchroom, anything else you're able to take away from this Miramar?
Well, my big concern comes into this. We were talking about Ukraine and what they're doing and the amount of points that they managed to generate. How much influence are they going to take on trying to maybe eliminate some of the other teams? We don't really talk about that enough whenever we look at PNC, but with this stage already, the amount of points that they've managed to accumulate, and it feels like no real teams are capable of running right up against them in a 4v4 firefight, do they start focusing on some teams that they may not want to have to compete against in these later stages? They can do that already, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous that we're thinking about that 2 games in out of the 10? But I mean, it's a reality. It is a reality. All right, we're going to a break here for PUBG Nations Cup. When we return, 3 more games here for day number 1 of the survival stage. We'll see you soon.
They're never. Hello everyone, welcome to another sit-down game time with Bella, and today's special guest is Team USA. Woohoo! Okay, well today we are going to be playing charades. Ooh, yes, exactly the reaction I was expecting. So, we would need to select the charader.
That's Connor.
I knew it! I knew it! Alright, but we have a time limit, 1 minute 30 seconds. So, oh my god, you gotta look at them!
Connor, go back over here.
3, 2, 1, go.
Perfume.
Yes.
Water, drink. Drunk, soju. Alcohol.
Dizzy.
Beer. Wine. Wine. Mime.
Drink.
Alcohol. Beer. What? Cowboy. Surf.
Confused.
Go next. Lost.
You don't know this?
Monkey.
They're never.
Share. Coffee. Store. Coffee.
Time is up. Okay, yeah, that was great. That was great. But you have to riddle me this. How do you not know what a kebab is?
You don't know, dude. No, it wasn't kebab. It was kebab.
Good news is you now hold the record. Eight. Yeah.
Who's the second? Are we the first team?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
Are you serious?
I knew she was.
Thank you for joining me. Next team is Team Canada.
They stink.
Yeah.
Okay, how many do you think they're gonna get?
5.
Yeah.
5? Alright, I'll see you guys at the next one.
Alright,
Go Team USA.
Bye.
Bye.
It's here for PC and console. It's got real-time audio control to do crazy things.
Okay.
So use it and abuse it, you crazy person. It's the new gold standard.
A new way to play Rondo. Smoke that interacts with the map. And some balance adjustments. All this and more as we dive into the Update 42.1 patch report. First up, there's a new way to dive into Rondo. With the Blue Zone rule set available through Arcade Labs. The action starts immediately, with the first zone shown on the map right at drop for all 64 players to fight over. There's also an increased loot and vehicle spawn rate to help you gear up faster. But be careful, there's no wait time for blue zones. And blue zone damage is increased. You won't have any special zones to worry about, but you'll still have to fight for every inch in this fast-paced take on the map. Can you beat out the other challengers to secure that chicken dinner? Next up, we've made some changes to make smoke more realistic. As we mentioned in the 2026 roadmap, smoke is now interactive and can be displaced by explosions and other physical collisions, such as vehicles, care package landings, and more. No longer will smoke be the ultimate cover. You'll have to utilize strategy to make the most of it or fight against it. We've made a few balance changes this patch as well. The SLR has gotten some improvements. We've rebalanced the blue zone a bit, and healing items have seen some adjustments to weight and cast time. You can find out more about these changes in the patch notes. There's also a new rank season. Racing mode added to UGC mode. Intense Battle Royale can now take place on Haven, and more. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 42.1 is here. So grab up some rebalanced gear, drop into a faster-paced Rondo, and don't wait around for the smoke to clear. We'll see you on the Battlegrounds.
Back for Ukraine here for the survival stage of PNC 2026 as they looked ruinous. You want to stay out of the way of this cataclysm coming your way because they look relaxed as well. That's a terrifying prospect to go up against here to start things off. I've got Gibson, I've got Mark, I've got Matrim to talk about our next games coming up. And Gibson, you don't want to be running into Ukraine right now.
You really don't, and there was a little conversation in the break as to how many Ukraine helmets we're going to see at the bottom at the end of the day. And you know, we had one, we had two. At this moment in time, I don't see anybody stopping them. Like, they have been nuts. So I guess what do? Avoid them? If you know they're on the east, go west.
Scary team, scary roster, Mark. I'm in agreement, but there are some up-and-comers here. Of course, Neutral had a bit of a decent high ground. They were able to hold off some parachutes. You got Turkey holding down the warehouse for quite a while in that game as well. So, as I said at the beginning, I think very EMEA coded this lobby, and so far we're seeing that come through.
Yeah, and it's how they're playing out, but do they get too confident at some point? Come back to match point just before the break. Do they start going aggressive against other teams? Well, who do they go against? Teams at the bottom, or do they go against some big names? Because there are some big names in this lobby, and they know how they play. The Rondo map is going to be the one that's going to be the decider for me. I bag maybe one more win from them. I'd like to see a potential another team maybe be aggressive. Take as Australia done. Be aggressive against our team Ukraine.
Definitely have my concerns for Rondo, that is for sure, considering the changes in potential land ratio. I think the circles so far in our first two games have been relatively kind to these teams here, Matthew, but who knows what chaos could occur.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of fragging capability for some of these teams. It's just going to be the fact, does Ukraine get a little bit too comfortable? Do they overextend, maybe walk into Denmark's firing line or Argentina's? There is a capability where we could see them falter, but it's just such clean play right now coming up from Ukraine. Maybe some circles happening on this map could kind of shift up. Throw a little bit of a curveball, make it a little bit harder. Does mean the fact that it's going to be a lot more interesting and a little bit more random, though.
Teams looking ready to go. Let's get to it. Match number 3.
Let's go, match number 3. Here we go.
Ukraine. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Gibson, for joining us. We'll get you back in after this one as we get to Tago for our third game, Matrim.
All right, so plane path's going to be over into the west around that so kind of coming in a little bit south of airport means the fact that we do have a little bit more of a lean into the northern area. So if you're wanting to go for longer stretches down into Songam, could be a little bit more complicated. Center drop is going to be a little bit dicier as well, given the fact that stretches down to the south are going to be more complex.
Yeah, for sure. I think for Tago, especially out of all the maps, for this lobby in particular, when it comes to locations claimed as well as scrims, this was the one that was most figured out. Not too much of potential conflict, right? So even though stretches down south, teams should be totally okay with it. As you guys were alluding to, though, for Ukraine, it does feel like technically they could kind of do what they want. Technically, they could really put the boot in against anybody that they would see fit. But I think a lot of what they may be doing is saying this is like the very best practice you can get, and just use that to parlay into the grand finals and probably just play out their own game. But that is, oh my days, that's a circle.
क्या जोन है ये साला पानी में ना चले जाए पहला जोन है भाई जो पानी की तरफ जाता है
I mean, we've got that island off to the west almost centered. That's a starting circle, to say the least.
It does. If we, for the longest time, people like Toby, etc., were like, "Oh God, what if we get that little island?" And technically, now, out of all times that it could have occurred, this is actually maybe the best time for it to potentially occur with our circle settings that are new here for PNC. So, man, can you imagine?
We've been seeing that island get some attention. I think that we got pretty close to the tail end of one of the games. It was like
map pilot भी दिखा रहे हैं
last where it was still in play and teams were actually fighting on there.
Map pilot भी दिखा रहे हैं.
Weird spot to get to is it does provide some safety as we're looking back kind of what's going on in the last game. I kind of want to still continue talking about the circle while this is going on, though, because you've been alluding to it with the changes that have been happening with the circles regarding water. With the river that's kind of cutting through the entirety of this, the island, and this much water out early, this is going to be really weird for these teams to try to figure out where they want to go.
Yeah, buckle up your seatbelts because there is the potential that this gets really wild. And hey, maybe Team Ukraine after the match could be one to capitalize on it. We'll see. Though. I think some of those teams that would call a circle like this their home might be the ones to do it. But as we take a look back as well, you can see kind of those pings, and this is Ukraine kind of using this kind of rotation paths as well as where teams may have moved to try and actually go up against. But they found themselves up on the right side पे जाके down पे. So much early kills as well, so much room this team carves out for themselves.
Well, it's just the way you watch them play, they don't give you a chance to actually make a mistake. Like, they just continue to put on so much pressure, they'll eventually just force it. And you just have to take a fight in a disadvantaged position after somebody's been knocked, somebody's already been flushed out. Then they'll move on to the next position. It's so clean, it just looks like they're walking, but it's so much information, so much control. I mean, look at the way that they're just picking apart squad upon squad, and there is no rush to it. It's just brutal efficiency.
I think also, like, when you look at the overall leaderboards from these first two games, yes, the majority of that top positions right now is dominated by
अबे हाँ इसको राइट वाले ने कैसे हक दिया इस पे भाई मैं तो ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ
neutral on that high ground. I think that they've done well in these first two games to keep themselves in and amongst that pack of EMEA at the top right, and consider that this is basically their second big showing on a PUBG Esports stage, right? So I'm happy to see Philippines do
ये हटाएंगे तब दिखेगा ना वो
Yeah, I mean, following on that, we haven't had a chance to dive into a lot, but again, Turkey, big game for them, the last one finding a lot of kills. 2 later game successes in a row for them, so we'll have to see how that kind of works out. As now we've jumped over here. This is going to be the nature of the beast, as it is United Kingdom.
साथ में नहीं कर रहे ना अब
This is
अरे भाई टीवी भी ले लिया
This is some much needed points coming up from UK if they can take it down, and yep, Japan eliminated real early.
Yeah, shame we didn't see the beginning of that fight. To watch the highlights over in Korea, but that's actually quite important. Japan only 1 point so far across 3 games. Great Britain there. Yes, okay, so you lose 1 early on in that fight, but there is a world where they can maybe have a chip and then get somebody res back up. But the problem is that there's a lot of teams on the north side of that circle, kind of alongside Great Britain. So that might deny them time to be able to get a third up. But 4 points for 1 body early on, it's not that bad.
What's going on with the United Kingdom, like you talked about? We've got Kazakhstan, Denmark. It's going to be over here. Finland coming in just with 1 player, but it's tail ending. This means that there's going to be a giant cluster right along that bridge that kind of connects the 2 different sides, and we're still kind of 50-50 on how this can go. It does lean a bit more to the south, of course. There's more landmass there, but the way the circle could pop, who knows? That means the fact that we've got a very weird split with, it looks like Norway holding down one side, Chinese Taipei also holding down pretty close to the other bridge, but the far eastern bridge looks like it's going to be Ukraine with close approach.
I totally agree with what you're saying, because the thing is because of the circle changes for PNC, this is going to make these extremely veteran players play a little bit more tenuous about how they're going to kind of play this out, how they're going to be able to kind of set up their splits, and where they may need to transition later on down the line. So, and obviously, yes, there's been scrims going on with these circle settings, but it's nowhere near the wealth of games that we had where Landrocio was circle 4 and 8. So there's definitely a lot of question marks up in the air here for a game like this.
United Kingdom was trying to stretch out from what was going on with all the squads around them. They do bump into India, and there's going to be more forced into the west. Back down to the south, you can see Philippines going to be bumping into Canada. This is going to be a defensive setup from Canada, as they do manage to catch and rally back around. So, going to be how Canada want to play early game. Canada, they got goals, man. These guys want to fight early.
Finish coming out of that bear. It seems like a lot of it's just driving past people and hoping that they're able to hit shots on driving people. Canada with some road rage on them as the hybrid scope on the M249 is looking against this position.
बंदा उठा के ले गया ना एल्जिन बर्ड को ले गया वो
Yeah, as Canada a little bit separated across all these positions. Alec will shoot a few mini shots into that.
अबे कोई और ही फिनिश हो गया ना
loses Adam, so blow for blow here for the Canada boys.
Oh, God,
bounce off the top just enough. And all right, Canada, you're going for the early game points. I figured that what Canada was trying to strive for here is see if they could catch a couple of points, maybe try to keep their points per game up to a position. Doesn't really come out too favorable for them. Canada also has to deal with Australia behind them as we do get the reses trying to come out from the United Kingdom.
So this actually happened where that engagement was, and Finland has been hunting this. They were south of Great Britain, and they followed them up here. That's interesting. Here, as Finland was hoping for maybe some easy free kills, in inverted commas, against Great Britain. Still great team, no doubt. I'm conflicted. This is Great Britain versus Finland, which is where I moved to after Great Britain. I don't know who I want to win.
I mean, this should provide enough time for a rally for Great Britain, to say the least. But I do agree with what you're talking about. Like, what was it, Scov that was over there eyeing what was going on with the firefight with the United Kingdom and Japan just a little while ago, and then they just tail-ended off of this. Malaysia still also has to get in the circle, but they're going to be approaching from Go Dock or that point.
Oi, what the fuck?
Denmark's going to be playing center right now as India, with Great Britain kind of repositioning up to the north. That's allowed India to go move down to the bridge. They're playing both sides of it, so that way they can always end up on top. What we'll have to see is, I mean, I think there's a little bit of aerial scouting coming out from the south. Not too much more you can go for us.
Oh man, another crazy circle. No way.
भाई साहब ये क्या चिपटा रहा है?
I was anticipating where we were going to go, and that is terrifying. Goes to the west. At the same time, the Finland fight is still going on, by the way. Like, they are still very much on that hunt. I think they realize with a circle like that, predicting the circles is going to be terrifying, right? So just try and hunt the kills if you can see them. And the Great Britain situation was the perfect opportunity to try and go for something like that. So
अबे नहीं, उस पे glider है.
Finland early in this game.
Okay, so where do we want to pick the firefights? Because there's going to be a lot of them. There's the bridge that India.
अबे उस साइड जा रहा है मेरे को. BRDM play करते ये glider play करते नहीं है ना ये लोग. ओ भाई.
Turkey's already playing over a little bit closer to Hapo, so they're going to be fine. Argentina's going to be cutting in pretty close to Chinese Taipei. Aussies are going to be coming in back behind them. Norway does have a compound that they're running a 2-2 split into a hillside on. You can see right now doing the defensive snipe holes. Ukraine is going to be able to come up right along kind of the channel and should be fine for playing the hillsides, but they are going to be having to deal with the Tulans, who are already playing that point early. Does get the knock on a boost stick, but the Tulans even get the flush. You get the damage, you almost get a follow-up knock.
सालो bro, farm करना घर पे जाके. Farm करना घर पे जाके.
I mean, some of them play alongside each other a lot when it comes to ranks, when it comes to pubs, etc.
पहली फाइट है इनकी दोनों की आपस में.
Trying to thwart any potential.
सबने एक दूसरे के साथ खेला हुआ है.
Sees in the distance, Hakatori shooting at a doozy in the distance though. Doozy needs to take some cover and get out of dodge. Hakatori is still very dangerous. He would love to get the stick up, but it's going to be difficult. Panzerfaust against the PRDM as well. Ukraine's taking some casualties now.
Neutral's got goals. They realize that if they want to try
exact 50 HP हो गया भाई वो.
to jump on the opportunity that Batulans did provide for them. Boostic still bleeding out back behind. Batulans now low on life as well as.
भाई ये कैसे बचा नेड से भाई.
Still both up as Hakatori is going to be defending while Diffx goes for the res. Can Levante get into a position? Because if he can crest up just enough to get vision on it, he can put in a ton of work. He does get the knock on Hakatori.
Levante.
See if we can get a little bit more done at the same time. Australia.
इसको दिख नहीं रहा. अच्छा, right में.
What can he get done against that? Hakatori completely down thanks to the Adusi secure. Neutral doing some good bits here, basically saving the rest of the lobby at the moment, but Diffx says no. But
Patience हमें भी है.
Oh dear me.
अबे ये तो उठा लेंगे भाई दोनों को.
Of course, is the IGL though. Maybe he can lead from the skies. Maybe they can get the blue chip after the fact here. But Lou does see him through that glass. Good shots. Doesn't quite get the finish though.
So Australia is set right along the zone wall, doing a lot of harassment on the firefight. Neutral tried to jump around and gatekeep out. That put them in the position where they were getting.
तो कजाकिस्तान भी आ गई. मलेशिया वाले तैर के आ रहे हैं भाई साहब. अच्छा जोन है अपना.
It's going to be more and more problematic as it mounts. Even now, Great Britain taking shots.
Ukraine is eliminated.
They will be down and out. That opens up the lobby here for a lot of these other teams at the moment. Unfortunately, Levante
सबको उठा लेगा अब तो ये.
on knock, and that does take down a doozy here. So Levante and Luke gonna have to be playing things out. Meanwhile, other moves going on. Denmark's taking a really strong high ground position for a circle like this. There's some weird things happening as well. Malaysia's swimming at the north. I don't think I've ever seen in a pro game people swimming up towards that small island, but hey, here we are in 2026.
Look, this circle is just going to be weird enough as we're looking at it. Like you're pointing out with Denmark on the high ground, that leads into a pretty much field center that we're looking at, where Norway is running a 2-2 split. Turkey is going to be kind of holding down Hapo on the other side of this.
Taipei के. Chinese Taipei.
In the field, there is also the hillside coming out of Hapo that is entirely vacant right now. They can find something to work with. Argentina is playing along kind of defensive down at southeast. Here is your swimming, the mermaids of Malaysia in action.
They've got a boat coming in slowly. I wonder if they all pile into that and hope that there's no one looking at the coastline.
के लास्ट वाले को पकड़ लेगा. अरे बच गया यार.
Okay, here's our tail end approach into the circle as Kazakhstan just a little bit ahead of Finland. Turkey does spot out Gene, is going to be able to flush him down pretty quick. This circle, while it does finally leave a lot of line, so there's a lot in it. Denmark go on to fence. Very solid. Now it's Kazakhstan just running for the field.
One of the scariest things for these teams, you talk to them, it's always the holes at top of the hills, because it's almost impossible to scout out, and that was a counter.
ओए उसको रेड जोन अरे भाई दोनों प्लस हो गए
Britain kind of, but also having some help taking down the oppressors. Good job, Australia against Great Britain.
अरे
रियल नहीं है यार, ये को हटाना नहीं है।
Australia down to just Monty and Flood. But they still have to figure out how they want to get into this circle with Norway's defense. Remember, Norway is a bit more scattered across the circle, trying to get from into this field position. Argentina's also going to have vision onto it. It does look like Malaysia taking the waterfront approach might be rewarded as everybody's got eyes into the circle at Hapo. The area that they're approaching from is pretty open.
Yeah, I think you might be right. They might just see split landfall and totally unscathed because of it, which is an interesting one. But
पहले तैर के आ रहे थे, अब साले भाई ये मार ना दे सेवियर
like there is small bow mode
BRDM अलग से है
of this bow, and I think Xavier realizes, but he's just got his BRDM. I don't think there's any reason he should be getting out of this other than just using it as cover and maybe taking some shots, but you don't want to be giving up the BRDM, so he wants to try and get back to
वो वार्ड मार देगा वार्ड जब ये रन करेंगे ओपन में वो लैशिन बॉय तो बीच में टक गया भाई नहीं जा रहे सही है फार्म करने के लिए इजी है वो एक बार सीशोर वाली टीम पिट गई ना लेटर ऊपर चढ़ जाएंगे आराम से अरे भाई ये टक गया था भाई वो
And now, for neutral, it's all for nothing here. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get back into a decent position for this. Aduzi is parachuting in while this is going on.
ये तो गया
He's gone.
आते ही चला गया
I feel bad. You guys went against the boss in Ukraine. Unfair as now Norway has to make their rotate and Aussies.
मार oh
I'm going to have to go back and figure out another
टक गया था रे भाई वो पहले जंप में
Norway here, who for Tekka's, He-Man and 8C, they've tried to find themselves central spots, but Chinese Taipei is moving on in a position where they could try and find
क्या कर रहा है
for them. They can take little dips alongside these fields if they so desire. I think seeing the
यहीं बैठ जा
okay, maybe it's solo or something like that. I don't think they have the full read on it though.
सुन भी रहा है
ओए
ले तेरा पोर्टर हुंडई का पोर्टर भाई 3 बंदे जो मार रहा था वो उतर गया कुरेक्सिएगा चू बचा यार अब कैसे निकल गए इनके सामने से ये लोग
against Beamy, that high ground is menacing. Like they have such a good
बढ़िया चढ़ता रहे
positions, and even some of those craters right there, you can dig as much.
लेकिन इसको तो रीड है भैंस क्या साला चढ़ते ना पिट जाए
Keep the porter going here to be able to give them some cover, and that's the big thing for Tega, right? You've got a porter, it's got a great capacity size. A lot of teams do prioritize that to be able to get around there and carry.
अरे थोड़ा हिल कंट्रोल लो ना भाई
Snipeball for India has gotten pretty close to Denmark and now been spotted. That means that Denmark can't necessarily harass down into the fields as much as they wanted to. Aussie's still on the other side of them, so a little bit of a reprieve coming up from Finland in a very needed moment. Looks like they might be just trying to dig out a couple more holes to get some space, a little bit more safety. Finland does have to keep an eye on that bayback behind him because it has been aimed and controlled by Malaysia. Still but finally managed to make landfall.
Yeah, that second nade setup wasn't just about Denmark shooting at them. It was also just in case they suddenly have like mortar fire raining down on them, right? Like you cannot be in the same crater all as 3 players. So, good stuff there by Finland to shore up some defenses. They still need quite a lot of points to start catching up with the top leaderboards at the moment. It goes forwards against them. Argentina, Chinese Taipei embroiled in a fight, and there was a panzer for Argentina. I think Chinese Taipei realized that
बचा के रखता है वैसे
panzer up against them, so they had to get out of dodge from that one.
Notice the position down to the south.
मलेशिया वाला वापस आ गया
So it's been pretty much them and Denmark uniting to take on everybody that's down in the fields, but it's pretty much going to cut out everything the Philippines can work with, as well as hot post. That means that Turkey is still going to have the compound where Celtic's going to be playing from, and it's going to be more, where does Philippines even go for? There's a couple crossroads and safety that they can play.
एक मलेशिया को देख ले, बाकी 3 बंदे मिल.
अरे. At least they're still 4, right? Despite those little earlier engagements, despite Canada trying to
watching
roll
out
up
them,
alongside them, still really good fortitude by Philippines.
भले कैसे भी आई.
Definitely an impressive start for them. Themselves in a position where technically they can join up with the AR, but
और इन्होंने तो यहीं डाल दी बे. यहाँ से अंदर कैसे जाएंगे?
Finally, this is a commitment. Look, they've beached the boats. This is where they're going to fight, and they're going to focus up on Turkey with a little bit of friendship coming up from the United Kingdom's tail end and Vard, I think the last one up for his squad right now. Philippines going to be more focused on the circle, so it's going to contain this fight a lot more. Finland can't really take shots due to the raise in the hillside leading into the road, so this is going to be its own.
भाई वार्ड झटका देगा एक को तो. शॉट ही है उस पे.
It's just poor Vard left back behind that's going to be watching this.
I must say, I have a soft spot for Malaysia. Every time we go for PUBG Esports, it's always been an absolute treat. And I see some results from them, and they do take down Fard here. So not too bad a start. Things going. Also able to get into the buildings and then start making some transitions. Be very important. That said, though, now Denmark does see Australia as well as India trying to make a move on their position. But Denmark's had a great amount of time to get this position. And Baby goes absolutely crazy once again.
Nice trade.
At the moment. Here comes the reinforcements, though, to try and deny it.
India just coming in full force right now. Denmark was not expecting it. They still got the rock cropping for controller. Gustav has come up, controlled angle, but other side of this one could spell doom if this nade is cooked well, or just a couple of bullets, but Gustav buying enough time to reset this, can't get the counter knock on the nade.
Nice.
India just coming up with full force, and Gusto has made a massive problem for Denmark, who thought that this game was under so much control of theirs.
100% Denmark, though, is a kind of team that wants to finish this fight fast and get those reses off. You saw instantly, as soon as those knocks came in with that nade, both players from the team started going straight away. That was the perfect opportunity to be able to get them back up. That fight off as quickly as they would like. That was picture-perfect execution just then from Denmark.
उसका revive छूट गया यार.
What a performance from Denmark there.
Hard luck भाई.
Everybody else was hoping the fact that maybe Denmark would go down, give a reprieve to the rest of the circle, but no, high ground control pops back over them. It is Malaysia making the push into Turkey's defended position, but they've got a little bit of a read.
Unforgiven का waste knock आया. कैपिटान ने लगा दिया मोटार भाई ये फिलीपींस पे. टर्की ने मलेशिया को डेड कर दिया.
Up on that north side, they know where Finland is, so do they use that as a path to be able to try and get some kills and then move on in, or do they try and go a bit east? I think east is probably going to be the play for them. We'll see down the line. It's now Philippines here on the south side of this. These fields do give them a little bit of a reprieve. They've got some smokes down, got some emergency cover as well.
Finland पे depend करता है भाई.
They know where he is. They just need to get rid of him.
The circle is pretty much full on fields. There's a smidgen of the hillside that Denmark's been playing still in play, but it doesn't feel too comfortable to play from. And this is kind of what you're looking at when you look at the fields. It is just destruction, mortars, explosions, and Turkey, Finland, Denmark now all have to move right down into the Kapitan. Great work.
I think Turkey on the west side is actually moving. He lies down for the shots. It does make sense to take him out. What a little spot he was in. He was burrowed in like a wallaby.
I don't think he was good until he said like a wallaby. Alright, so Monty at least managed to get the knock on to one. So Denmark's got most of the control up to the north. Finland still could be a problem for them. They're trying to figure out how they want to run the spot out. How they made that shift down the hillside. Finland's got just pretty much open field. I mean open field. With maybe a tree or two,
जाएंगे कैसे आगे?
in front of them, but nothing really that you want to work because it's going to be vulnerable from Norway's position.
अब थोड़ी कोई हगेगा साले.
Down below them, I don't know where Finland can go without taking a firefight in this. It's going to feel good.
Maybe taking some shots.
उसने one tap दे दिया भाई उसे. ले. और भाई तीनों ले लिए उसने. धीमी ने.
Oh my days.
All right, well, Denmark's got control of just about everything to the north. Norway still has a player over here as well as Kazakhstan. And you can see that instantly turns back over to him. Denmark now flooding around the sides. Down to the south, Argentina starting to get some vision as they move up closer to the road that they were using for some level of control and safety. But it looks like Philippines going to continue to pepper in shots onto them. That means that Denmark gets more maneuverability up in the north.
You get done, you know exactly where Denmark has now moved into position, as now smokes do go down here to try and get yourself towards some of those craters. Ermak still alive here for Kazakhstan. It's been a rough
nice
games for Kazakhstan to start things, and that's a good knock though. Really nice underhand against those smoke positions. Kind of anticipated where He-Man was moving, so at least a kill on the board.
And that's big information right now for Kazakhstan because they know
zone
definitely helps. Now Ermak can provide some cover for the rest of Argentina, and well, depending on how Denmark's positioning is going to be playing. I said Ermak for Argentina. Stupid colors matching. Just a little bit. Apologies about that one. Now Turkey's got to make a move.
By Denmark का चिकन है
as well.
How long has AC been here? I want to scroll back on the map.
लेकिन करेंगे कैसे वहाँ छेद नहीं है. हाँ देख मार सकता है इनको तू. डेनमार्क को मार सकता है तू. अबे उनको देख
So Turkey's going to be trying to play and make the crossroads position work. That means that they're going to have to
अब तो खत्म है भाई टर्की चिकन ही है उनका.
You can see that the road
नॉर्वे कुछ कर सकती है अगर ये लुनलुन वाली टीम पिट गई ना.
Isn't necessarily the biggest incline to work with as far as cover goes. And that's going to be other side where Turkey's going to be trying to play from. Norway is going to be in the center of a lot of this one, where Turkey and Philippines are going to be focused in. But Chinese Taipei is still going to have to deal with Argentina and Philippines and the other side of the road from Turkey. All of this is just stacking up more favorably for Denmark and Norway.
टर्की वाले तो शैक के लिए आ रहे हैं क्लोज.
He's Philippines in the distance. Philippines are great fortitude.
I think deny करेंगे.
I'm still so impressed that they're still alive in this game. By all rights, at this point, they should be dead. Down on that south side, doing all right for themselves. Capitan with a great post through against Xavier there. I think Philippines realizes, yeah, we're probably not making it further into this one.
Okay, so there's the opening for Crossroads. Argentina now on one side, Turkey on the other. Denmark still trying to use that little bit of a high ground that they've got control over. Turkey has also managed to kind of squeeze their way over next to this rock, providing some cover in a very open field.
नॉर्वे अभी भी उस सोलो अरे इस पे तो सीख हो रहा है. इस पे तो सीख हो रहा है सीख हो.
Can they line it up and time it well? It's going to be rolling right up. The explosion does stop it out, but that's going to be close enough. Do they even expect it? Did it get exploded?
No. Shot out. Shot out, shut down.
Cancel हो गया वो.
By Turkey once again here as now they're able to greet them on forwards. Captain go good. Let's go crazy. Starts things off against Komarko. Can he get a little bit more done? Everybody else is knocked at the moment. There should be more Turkey reinforcements coming in and shutting this down completely. Wait, where are you going? On the left-hand side. Okay, it's in a bit of a smoke, coloured smoke.
अबे सेल्टिक को देख घूम के उनके पीछे आ गया वो.
Spot him on out and takes him down. That is Schiller Komarko.
हाँ.
Able to shut out Argentina.
Let's go Turkey. Just now 2 points behind Ukraine on the climb. Denmark, other side of this one, just a couple points back behind 13, and there is a ton of kills still to be had. Don't forget about Ermak. Back behind him, still causing a problem as Denmark can't focus in what's going on to the south. The way this new circle is popped means it's another move for Turkey, though, and they're going to be walking right into the waiting arms of Norway. And the way that this is set is, Ermak is just doing a great job on staying alive long enough to make it a problem.
गाड़ियां देखियो एक ही पत्थर पे सारी गाड़ियां हैं.
You gotta do what you gotta do. The thing is just for Denmark is they're gonna know at this point where everybody is. Like, they know where Ermak is. They're just trying to dislodge him from there. They know that there's probably somebody in the shack, and then there has to be a team on that south side. Elsewhere, there are no other threats. So Denmark has a bead on where every threat does currently lurk. Oh, but they might not know that Ermak has a Panzerfaust.
Can we talk about trigger discipline? How long has he been dealing with Denmark and still has that in the pocket? Waiting for the opportunity, does the patience pay off? Doesn't quite get the knock. He tried to follow up with a couple of shots, but it just wasn't there.
I can respect it.
मारा उसने लेकिन वो गाड़ी पे लग गया.
Bit of a longer range Panzerfaust shot.
साले इतने आगे को देख रहा था पीछे आ
Now
माता
still somehow
तू आ
surviving
गया.
with some of these smokes. Doesn't have any more
पीछे
left though, so now
हूँ.
he's gonna have to make a move, knowing that Mixon and the boys are going to be overlooking this position, and he sees him jump peeking as well. I think he might
मैं
have
Twitch
just
पे
seen
देख
the
रहा हूँ
top
क्योंकि.
of his head there, so was shooting in
अबे
that direction to be able to strip down. He saw
ओ
the
ले.
transition. Surely he got stripped down.
Splash
Yes,
में
he
ले
does.
गया वो तो.
The timing on that was almost so good for Ermac. So Turkey used the opportunity of what was going to be going on, the distraction in the north, to get right up on top of the circle. Now found themselves in a little bit of a safer point to play from. Norway, who's just been kind of hanging out right now, letting Denmark and Turkey do the
अबे लुन्नुन वाले भी उन्हीं को मिल गए.
close range. The firefights are just
अर्जेंटीना के 4 किल उसको मिल गए. फिर वो मलेशिया वाली टीम भी मार दी.
Foldable shields, a lot of opportunity here. Beanie almost at the 1k club, 928 damage at the moment for Beanie, who's looking absolutely bonkers.
अबे पागल साले पॉप तो होने देता स्मोक को पहले ही भाग रहा है.
Coming out of that shack to try and do something as well. Tekka's on the back side of it, burrowed in, but surely this is a Denmark victory match for him.
Around the sides, Tekker's just trying
भाई
to see if he can
वो
get
नेट
it
लग
around,
गया.
but Denmark just coming down full gusto. I wouldn't say coming down,
इसने
they're
जो
just
आसमान में फेंका है.
letting everybody walk into their crosshairs right now. It's just stacking up kill upon kill. Tekker sneaks around, tries to see if he can get something out of it, but the angles just aren't there. Turkey's going to take him down, but massive cost. Schiller, the last one up. 16 kills. Can he make a miracle happen against Denmark? I just don't feel it.
नहीं भाई.
As they will be invading onto this position.
ओ भाई मार रहा है ये.
Vikings are on their way, but Schiller, crazy stuff to get things going. 1,100 damage at the moment. He's in the blue though. Surely it should be done. I don't think they know exactly where he is. Does he have any lethal nades? No, he doesn't. He has to come out here and he's gone.
भाई उसने दो तो अच्छे निकाले थे.
With game 3 victory match.
Nice nade.
Hey, Schiller tried to make it a bit crazy. Let's go ahead and tack back in our other friends here as we're going to dive into all the action.
Nice
as
chicken
Ukraine finally doesn't get one, Gibson.
Yeah, Ukraine taken down early in that one as well, giving a lot of advantage to teams. And big shout out to Turkey. Big performance by them. But Mark just...
अबे नहीं वो विदाउट आरजीबी होगा जिसमें सिर्फ अल्फाबेट्स में आरजीबी होती है ना. हाँ दिखे थे राइट साइड में. इसी पॉइंट में राइट साइड पे ऊपर की तरफ. पता है. अबे वो फ्लैग नहीं दिखे ना ढंग से मेरे को उसके. लेकिन राइट साइड ही है, मतलब इसी एंगल पे राइट साइड वाले लेन पे है.
So far here for Australia, it's not entirely working out, but I think as this game does boil down, right, it really is the story of Turkey as well as Denmark. And just as an update for everybody watching as well, there will be a -2 going the way of Turkey due to unequipping of the
भाई मोटार सबसे बेस्ट था. ये बहुत सही था.
as a whole. But that said, I don't think it's going to matter too much because Turkey is looking fantastic right now.
ये वाला नॉक ना इसका वेस्ट हो गया भाई. वेस्ट नॉक आ गया इसका. अनफॉरगिवन का. ये नहीं आता ना, ये नहीं आता तो वो ग्रोजा वाला यही मार देता. उसने भाई उस पर उसको रिफ्लेक्स पे मार दिया भाई. वही.
So if you don't see that reflected in the scoreboard now, you know why. Just to keep everybody as up to date as absolutely possible. But let's talk Denmark here, Mark, because Denmark. Well, your name is in their name, so talk about it.
हाँ यहीं पलट गया उनका गेम. भाई टर्की बहुत पहले मर जाती है उससे.
But I think even at that point, guys, they were really aggressive. They were taking fights to defensive play. I like that we saw Team India try and play aggressively towards them. But they had set up.
उसकी वो देख रहा था.
Tilted गिर the high ground. They stormed their way to victory.
Gibson, are you ready for a second Beanie Man of the match?
It's almost cold, but I want to give a shout out to Gustav.
अब कट ऑफ ऊपर जा सकती है भाई. अब छह
just going to play, and the Americans has made him such a better player. Like,
No.
going to work in America improved them so much.
No, disclaimer at the bottom alert. I did not say that in any way, shape or form. I said he's improved America going over.
किसको ले लिया
तूने?
That's a funny one because you got us 2 EMEAs and you got 2 Americas, and we've probably had that discussion for quite a while. But there he is with 6 kills, the 1K club.
OC हाँ OC नहीं लेनी चाहिए थी.
actually, if it wasn't for him looking insane and probably getting getting the man of the match and the win here, like Schiller as well.
वो भी PGS में ही नहीं कर पा रहे.
But we do have to give the flowers here, Matchroom, to Beamy, looking spectacular. 2 out of 3 man of the matches.
The only potential falter point that felt like could happen was right there at the end versus for Turkey and up against India. Outside that, it was complete control over the entirety of the circle for what, 4 circles, 5 circles. It almost felt like this squad.
बस ये 0-0 वाले गेम कॉस्ट कर जाते हैं यार. 0 गेम नहीं जाने चाहिए कभी भी.
23 points, yeah, going their way. 23 for Turkey as well. Amazing stuff. Schiller looking spectacular from all of this. Norway with the cheeky
भाई ट्यून सुन रहे हो भैंस की क्या क्लासिक वाली ट्यून आ रही है. क्लासिक वाली ट्यून आ रही है.
Yeah, look, they got to center the zone really early. They played to the end. They only got 7 points, which I think they'll be disappointed.
अरे PUBG की है वो. PUBG मोबाइल का ही थोड़ी है पेटेंट है उसके पास. PUBG की है वो. पूरे PUBG की है.
But look at that leaderboard. 30 kills for Turkey. When I spoke to Schiller before this weekend, he told me his plan was to play like predators. And with 30 kills, he's basically doing that.
All right, they've got the laser sights, they've got the camouflage, they're weaving through the jungles, but
Japan to 1 point पे है.
To sniff out. We're going to need Arnold Schwarzenegger maybe to shut them down. That is a result and a half from just 3 games.
सी में ये मारते हैं.
Well, that is
how do we stop them?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Empty. वो दिखे ऊपर की तरफ फ्लैग नहीं दिख रहे ना ऊपर की तरफ राइट साइड पे लास्ट सेकंड.
Yeah, that was kind of important, right? And you don't want them to entirely run away with it, even though it's probably going to result in a top 8. Here is Neutral, of course, trying to fight their way towards top 8. It's an interesting one watching them play at the moment, Mark, because I think we've had our reservations about how Twisted Minds has wanted to play things out. In regionals as well as PGSs, and it's looked a little slower compared to some of the previous years, so hopefully they're kind of able to overcome some of that maybe if Batulins is leading the charge, right?
On paper it is an all-star roster. They should be at the top competing and not far off, right? I just, as I said before in the pre-show, the Aduzi Batulins mix is Twisted Minds firing all cylinders at the moment. I'd argue maybe not. I think we'd expect a lot more from them. Will they qualify through? I think so. My concern is, do we see Ukraine go up against them as one more time? Do we see other teams potentially third party? Because actually, if you can take the Batulins, you can take an Aduzi, take an Levante and Lu out of the lobby, you wouldn't want them in the final because we know they're big hitters. So
True.
I'm a bit concerned. Do they get their own heads? How are they going to play this one out? Because we've only got a couple more maps for this day number 1.
A tough circle for these teams to run into each other, right, as well. Because I said it earlier on in that game, Gibson, that a circle like that, with the potential of what could come in later circles because of our circle shifts, will cause teams to do some things that are a little bit more unnuanced compared to our previous games and the like in PGSs and regionals.
Yeah, I think that map was the perfect example of it. Like, when's the last time we had a phase 3, phase 4 in that section of the map? And it just wreaked havoc for all those teams that were over on the Eastern Front. And you know, I feel like there was a bit of complacency from some of those teams. Like, if you could touch back on Neutral, I feel like we're seeing complacency. Like, Batulins is getting knocked and getting taken out of these games, what feels like really early, and it's just not like them. And like me, you also have them on your fantasy pick. I think a lot of people have them there. They've really not kicked off today the way I would expect it from a roster that, as Mark said, is just all-stars everywhere you look.
I've got to jump in though. I do feel like Batulins has been dying a lot early, and that's kind of become his new MO, is to get rezzed and come back in with no gear and try to like snake his way into getting some points. We've seen that happen a lot. But also, let's remember that it is Batulins on day 1 and a squad that he's probably doing a lot of IGLing for. So, okay, maybe we'll see how day 2 goes. You know.
It's a toughie. It's a toughie. As we take a look across all of these rosters as well. For Norway, again, having that position wasn't too bad at all. I think that seeing them in a position like that as well, do you have high hopes for a team like Norway here, Mark, considering the lineup has some strong veterans on it?
Yeah, back-to-back games, they found themselves in really good positions. They're not quite closed out as I think they wanted to. With him and obviously in that last game being very much down on that sort of outside, it's hard to get through, right? Especially as to try and punch a hole through teams in open terrain. But if you look at obviously where they're making the play, teams obviously looking at those calls, but they're finding the right spots. They just need to keep that point average up when it comes under placement. I expect them to go through. When we look at the finals, if they do go through, I can't see them taking on the likes of a Team Ukraine. But for this lobby, I'd expect them a top 8 at least.
I'm watching as team handlers, and Denmark is concerned that their 4th player is not there just yet, but the lobby looks like it's going to be going. I think that's the sign. You see the fear in the players' eyes as they're like, where's my remaining teammate? Because we are now getting into game number 4. We are ready to rondo, and I am scared of this map with these circles. Let's figure it out as we give you over to Gibson and Mark for all of the action.
Thanks, James. And Mark, like James said to me earlier today, this is the map that he was most worried about when it came to the land ratio shift. And, with a flight path going right through the middle, like, how much havoc do you think we could really get here in Rondo?
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to jinx. I think the guy spoke too early about that island in the last one, so I'm not going to say anything on that. I just want to see the organised chaos, should we say, unfold. This flight path, though, is the south towards the north. It is pretty much going through the middle, but I do want to allude to that sort of middle pack, right? We've got, I'm going to say, the Na'Vi and the Twisted Minds drop. Those sort of teams, rosters going in there. Will they go head-to-head early? That's the one I'm waiting for.
Yeah, we spoke about it, and we've seen maybe even in just the team version where Na'Vi and Twisted Minds have been fighting a little bit more often, so maybe we might just see Neutral and Ukraine pushing towards each other, particularly with the fact that this flight path will allow a little bit of time for it, as Denmark, one of the earliest teams off, they'll send Keter all the way over to Rinjiang to secure a vehicle. But, Mark, what do you think of the new tempo? I actually think that these games feel so fast with the changes we've made to the circle timings.
I think it's that. Plus, let me add the caveat, this is an all-star roster, right? So these are the dream teams, the players across the world. So I think that aside is also going to help out. And that's why we're seeing some of this sort of early chaos. Vex will go down. Team UK is going to be there for the defense. Not best for driving. He's got a gun. Run!
Oh, poor Team UK losing another player. No! And maybe another Zopchen will find T-Bone as well. And, well, those blue chips, I think that they will be able to get them back a little bit later on because they'll be on the way for. You don't think that?
No, he's putting it straight in the car. There's one. He's going for the second one
right,
now.
Right, yeah.
Go tie up with the rest of the guys in Team UK. It pains me to say they're playing match number 4 as a duo.
What did they do to poor Chinese Taipei for that to happen? Team UK going to get slammed as we have a little look at what happened in that last map and how Denmark managed to get the win. You see, like when you get a circle shift like that, Mark, and you're already pretty much in the good position for it, it set Denmark up for the win, but they still had to go ahead and secure it.
Dixon played really well this map as well. Really enjoyed it. He took the high ground, caught the rotations, and we know Tego and Rondo, these kind of rotation where you can pick up some kills. And then it was just that Beamy one with his skin on. Absolutely love their level 3 helmet. He had the Groza, but he needed to try and get that player. And actually, arguably, he sacrificed himself at that point, Gibson, to get with that kind of critical player away from the lobby.
And are they playing well, Mark, because of Avenger or in spite of Avenger? That's the question that James wants answered here.
Because these shoulder rubs are on point. I love how Martin always makes the camera at the beginning as well. So GG's.
It's because he's so tall. They set the camera up. They're like, right, we'll give it, we'll put the camera so anybody below like 6'1" will show up, and then Avenger just walks in frame.
यार वही नहीं समझ आ रहा है तो अबे वो जो पोस्ट थी PUBG Esports की उस पे
Him and Itzy are like 2 of the tallest players that we have in PUBG, man. It's not even funny.
But look, he's making calls. He's making the right plays from the team. They're playing this level of aggression. Defensive grenade out from Mix and again, showing what he can bring to the lobby. And this team, Denmark, looking strong. Not from the circles, but they found it.
Yeah. One thing I always like to say is if you need a win, get a Finn or call it Winland. It's not really gone the way the Finns would have liked it to go so far on the day, but let's just look at it. You were talking to me about Mixon. You were like, he's not the strongest player on the team, but when your weakest player is as good as Mixon, you'll be all right. And he pulled off a huge play to get them that victory in the end as well.
Does that play from Tekers? The Hail Mary at the top here. Turkey, but Sheila just showing that he's world class. Which again, you got to look back when we look at the PGS circuit. What's obviously happening with their team and what they're going to do coming to the second half of the year. So, not to be said, but again, all-star, it's PNC.
I'm not even gonna lie, I can't wait for the weekend whenever we see the real big hitters coming in. Vietnam back in play, Korea, China, USA. Like, it is going to be so much fun. And I suppose we'll give a shout out to Germany as well. Back coaching in this year, but Var, he's going to line up the shots towards Chinese Taipei, but elects not to go for it. Doesn't want to bring the attention towards himself. But what's the best case scenario for Team UK now, right? They're down early. This is going to be tough.
It's down early and out of zone as well. I can remember in the southeast corner, so they're by Tinlong Garden. They're going to rotate a real long way to get in. Maybe a glider, stay out of sight, out of minds, maybe, or play the edge and just play the zone, sort of shift back. It's got to be a survival game. It's best of 10 over the survival stage, right? So one bad game, you'd accept it. We're not playing a best of 5 just for the survival stage, and they are on the cutoff point at the moment. So you kind of take it. It's a bit of a reset though.
Still a superstar, Tiggleton, 92 kills, 5th all time when it comes to PNC. And you'd imagine that if they play, you know, with them playing in the survival stage going into the weekend, they will be dating expert, by the way. Okay, Tig.
He's number one. He's number one. He's getting a win. Give it to Tig. That's what we want to see.
Are we trying?
What sexy lad does Tig.
Our production trying to find Tig a partner. Is that what's going on here?
This is PUBG dating game now. Come on, this is what we signed up for. This is why me and you've been matched together. A match made in heaven knows. Tig charging his way forward. The opening knock though from Australia. Give him an opportunity. I think Australia, it's a chaotic team. They're going to go for some kills, but they can disrupt a lot of these big teams that want to play a bit more controlled.
Yeah, sitting outside the top 8 now as well, so they want to get some points on the board, getting closer to day 2 as IXC will peek over towards Tiggleton, lands a nice headshot with a 14, but with the knock secured, Australia really want to push into Finland and get these points, and you can just see them sending Monty out to try to get that off angle.
They're trying to find the off ankle, and they're trying to apply that pressure. I'm trying to find safety. I will not allow that, so he'll be confirmed out. Point behind the board now for Team Australia. Give a potential opening now for disengage and wrap their way around, and for Finland, they get the opportunity to get that blue chip. Team Australia stops applying the pressure.
Yes, point on the board for them though is they look to just add to the tally that they put together already. As Pipa, congratulations, recently got engaged as well. I actually really like this Argentina roster. I said it to you already, Mark. They won a few maps last year at PNC. You know, they've got players playing at international events. Capitan obviously didn't get to attend the one most recently, but he did spend some time inside Europe. I think Argentina could do well. Like, I'm not saying they're going to win the event, but I definitely think that they're more than good enough to be in the top 16 going into the weekend.
Yeah, you obviously alluded at the very beginning they're going to be aggressive against Team India. We saw one match so far from that, but for whatever reason they've disengaged, but they definitely have been aggressive though, and the level of aggression unfortunately keeps going the opposite way for Great Britain. Michael will fall down. That means Team UK are now down to a solo player. In his cards, you know, he has the opportunity to provide that level of expertise, but as a solo, they've got to stay their heads down.
Yeah, India picking up a lot of easy kills so far. They only got 5 on the board so far, but it feels like the kills they are getting are just being delivered to them pretty nicely. Norway, they're rocking up now towards Turkey, who are on 48 points, but remember there is a 2-point deduction to be added at the end of the day. But Turkey so far, the pick of the bunch, just constantly in top 4s, Mark, picking up kills for fun. This is a completely different roster than last year.
Top 4s, top 2s.
Yeah.
Second. They are the most consistent team when it comes down to placement. They are sitting on the top of the leaderboard though, 48 points over 45 for Team Ukraine. So to wait and see. The zone obviously is about show us which way it's going to go. Team UK for Vard to try and hold up, and the zone holds away. And we do go out towards that northwest corner stadium in Team Australia. Obviously, all the way around the high ground, and that's tough solid state.
Yeah, and a lot of those teams know that the north is completely free, so they will migrate that way. The likes of Australia, Malaysia, all making their way north now, but there is a huge migration from the south as more than half the lobby find themselves expelled by that circle ship. So Norway will make their way in, Turkey not far away from that point either. Mark, this circle, it's going to be fun for sure, because you've still got Stadium, Zhao Tin, you've got a couple of those glass towers, and let's take a look at some of the paths into the circle we've seen already.
इंडोनेशिया को भी टॉप 8 कर दिया क्या?
It's going to be down towards that southeast corner. A lot of those sort of pension runs are going to be working their way in towards
अच्छा
that
मतलब जो
section.
टीम टॉप 8 थी उनको डायरेक्ट फाइनल में
Find that time. Obviously, he's going to try and clash here. Turkey's been one of them, though, as they've received a knock, and confirmation has been done, not just one but two, and they look like trying to get as much back as they can. Maybe Turkey won't be able to survive this one up there, down to a duo, and they're getting chased down. But when you're chasing Code Marco, he's got a bit of a bite.
Yeah, Marco getting shot by Aya, and Aya will find that knock onto Marco, and he's the last remaining player for the Philippines here. Couldn't get turned because of the pressure, but Celtic, the same, will try to prevent them from getting this res off. Spots the player in the open. Celtic will see Keller steal that kill away with the multi. Marco picked up by Keller now too, as Denmark managing to pick up the pieces here and add to their impressive tally of 42 points.
Gets up, looking for the final shot now. Let's break the connection, but he does pick up the kill. Denmark up to 3. They hold the position, but if you see from the team, they hold multiple angles. Beanie's actually a little bit off on the scouting mission up towards that northwest. It is phase 2. He might be hoping and finding opportunities of which way to go or where they want to apply pressure. But for the Philippines, they're also down to a solo now. And not to work his way back. Oh, K-Mine, please. No! UK out.
Yeah, Canada picking up a point there, and they desperately need them, sitting in 14th place on the leaderboard. But with a BRDM and all 4 players alive, let's see if the Canadians can finally get a bit of marching going in this game as we jump on with Kazakhstan and Argentina, and Emi finds that knock onto Ermak, who was scouting it out, and that should be another point on the board for the Argentinians.
Yeah, Grenade goes over the top, does the molly from Capitan, get that confirmation. So Argentina find their first point now. They hold a very critical compound, especially on this east side. A lot of these teams will come looking this way on that next zone shift. So Argentina, they've got a lot of to balance on the rest of Kazakhstan, though, which is further towards their southwest corner.
Yeah, rotating in. You can see they're just behind India on this rotate, and whether or not they elect to take the push, well, Finn is going straight into the middle of them, so he could come under heavy pressure, and those good shots will force him.
Oh my God, he's drawing him in.
He's drawing them in, but can the rest of Canada take advantage, Mark?
Was Canada being cheeky there? Were they trying to lure him into a little bit of a trap? Maybe not. They have disengaged, they've worked their way back. Canada have to rotate their way round. Zone shift again, back towards that north side. So Malaysia, they sit pretty much central. Again, we find Norway really good positioning for them. So again, making the right calls on the rotations and finding position to play.
Yeah, but Mark, look at Neutral and Ukraine. Again, they both rotated up from the same section of the map from that test track drop, and they find themselves only a few hundred meters away from each other, with one team favouring the north side of the stadium lake and Neutral a little further south. And you can just see they've got the mortars at the ready. Scav is going to come back in and join us as the Finns manage to get at least one of their 2 knocked players back into the fight.
Has he picked up Ferris? That has worked their way in on that north side of the stadium. I don't know. I didn't quite see it on the camera, so I have to wait and see. Back towards Canada, they've got the nitrous oxide they applied on towards that BRDM. Steamrolling India ahead of them. Can't quite catch up. We'll go back towards the other side with Denmark, and Gustav, though, opens up against Norway.
Yeah, Gustav still just trying to get an angle here on the other side. Spots Canada on the rotate as well, but the Scandinavian fight-off that we have potentially happening over on that side of the map. And you know what? People have been asking for a terrible joke, Mark, all day long. So, do you know how the Danes get the boats into the bay?
No, don't know.
The Scandinavian.
No, we're not doing this. We are not doing this. I'm not being dubbed with it. No more. That's your one for the day.
Yeah. You give me one. Matt got one earlier, so I've got to get one in as well.
What's this with the NA class? Terrible.
Too much time with toffees. Way too much time with toffees. Neil's getting tossed in. Adams back up on his feet for now, and K-Mind is going to try to take the attention away with the BRDM. Allow the rest of the team to regroup, which is exactly what K-Mind is doing. And, well, you spoke about Stadium. Fairest and Scav just meters apart now, and Fairest knows exactly where Scav is.
Yeah, Fairest obviously worked his way in from here, so good play from him. He's obviously the IGL. Hakatori, for those that don't know, does do the co-IGL role for Team Ukraine. So, kind of a dual approach. So either side, Ferris has the information that there's one in the stadium. It's Hakatori trying to piece that puzzle together on the south side.
Ferris spots out Scav now, gets the shots off, and will confirm by that knock. And he knows that Scav is the only player here at this point in time, so that's another point on the board for Ukraine. Boostik! IX is going to fall, man. Boostik is nuts.
Yeah, insane. And I think he goes underneath the radar because you've got Hakatori on there, right? And you've got Diffix on this, but Boostic is a big hitter for Team Ukraine. Brexy, final player now for them. He's on the hold. He's got to try and find the rotation round, but they know they've got the opening. Team Ukraine will crash in. Ukraine, I just want to find the final body.
Yeah, Corexi's just hiding inside the other building, and he'll just try to live his life out. But man, Boostic confirms out that kill, and I remember Boostic first coming into my radar. Remember when he used to sub in scrims for Twisted Minds years ago? Because he wasn't old enough to play competitive, so he could only play in scrims. And I remember just saying, this kid, he has everything it takes to be a big name inside of PUBG. And well, Ukraine definitely happy he's on their team as things stand. Let's see if Blue on neutral can line up a mortar exactly where he needs to for a bit later on. Maybe even just use the mark to create a dip or a hole that they can play out of a little later on.
I think that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to find an opening on the bottom of that mountain. Laser are ahead of them. Be careful back towards Finland though. He knows he might receive pressure here from Team Ukraine. So smokes off one side. He's trying to focus on Ferris on that north side of it.
Yeah, and Argentina now know as well that they've got to kind of play their way out with the blue zone, and instead of waiting for Kazakhstan, they want to get closer to the circle. You know, hold them out closer to the edge so that you don't waste too much time, because Canada are being held on the north side by Kapitan, so that allows the rest of the team to focus on any Kazakh rotate into the circle. And our Kazakhstan in 10th, not really playing at the levels we might have thought we could expect from this team.
No, I think the Hobra entry point for them was going to be interesting. I have to wait and see how that goes. Hakatori looks to the sky, finds one. Looking for the second, has to go for the reload. Got the information that's coming this way. Crexy now gets involved, causing damage towards him and Chinese Taipei. They have to go towards this northwest corner of Stadium, but the zone is moving in. Diffix, though, is moving on up as he finds a kill with a doozy.
Yeah, this is the big one as Ukraine managed to push back that push from neutral, and I thought that neutral were really hoping to pick up a few easy kills, but Denmark and Norway, that Scandinavian fight that we were expecting to see a while ago, is now up and running as Argentina finish off Kazakhstan. But all 4 players up for Denmark here. Norway looking to hold them at the edge of the circle as Mixon just puts down some cover so they can start climbing that, that hill towards Norway.
Yeah, Norway obviously positioned here. Denmark losing the zone. They tried to work their way around, took some shots from Argentina like Kazakhstan, but they've got to be careful. Dodges the molly, has to be cautious, backs away. Keta does find James with a grenade that might open things up now, as Norway have to get the defense.
Yeah, Tekers peeks on the side, doesn't really get any damage off of note in the first one, but James is down. Molly being thrown by Keter, but he's aware of the flank on the other side as Itzy is forced out of that great molly. Will take him out of the fight, and Gustav's knee, it is even better. Down he falls as Gustav's knee play has been so good so far today.
Yeah. Off the backboard, bounce towards Ainsley's not be good for him. James obviously is already down. Tekers on the off angle. There's a bit of a trench to try and dig his way out of, and Ketado working his way through the smoke. You can see over the top of it, just trying to get the information. So you can see, actually for him, the rest of his team falling around. Now comes a charge forward. BB charges on, and Tekers though launches a barrage of shots towards him.
Yeah, but BB takes some damage in return, and Ketter's getting hit by He-Man as well as Denmark. They are up against one player from Norway. He-Man trying to rotate away, maybe get his way to the Pika bus. Can you get there? No, Japan are starting to shoot him, and it's Goni from Japan who cleans it up, and down fall Norway. Another point though for Denmark.
Jackie looking for the breach now. Neutral there, Chinese Taipei all in within that stadium. Now to go for the charge in, it will be dead. Shots will come through. The JS9 will put him down, and it's Metabay Turkey finds Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, but now coming under fire from Monty as well as Australia try to hold them out. Remember, the blue zone will start closing very soon, but keep an eye on Batu on the stairs with the shotgun. Could ruin their day. Argentina, that's another knock for India. Oh no, Draft King! He flips around the wrong way. Argentina deleted by India.
That card did not land nicely for Draft King. India defense asked question, why were they not pushing down? That's because they've dug themselves a trench. Here comes Canada. It's going to be chaos. Malaysia get involved. Kmart going to try and run him over, but he gets to the car inside, but takes huge accident. And Gustav puts Finn down.
Yeah, and Finn has been knocked, but Diffix actually from afar got that knock onto AJ, and K-Mind is trying to steal it by reversing into him, and K-Mind will pick up that point for Canada. Now he'll try to just drive on up. Remember that BRDM providing so much cover as Denmark start pushing their way towards the rest of Canada, trying to get more points on the board here, Mark.
love the aggression. I love the aggression from Denmark. They've picked one side. Now they play forward. The BRDM ball is going to have a big factor. Adam, though, obviously looking over. Malaysia already pitched up. We've got Team India, though, that has entrenched their way in. It's going to be Chaos Gibson on the southeast corner.
Yeah, look at that. Finna is down, Adam is down, Canada just getting torn apart here on the edge of the circle as Mixon confirms out another kill for the Danes. 47 points and counting. As Shen's got a BRDM coming his way, but no Panzer to help him out here. But Canada just want to find somewhere to play.
No Panzer and limited 5.56. He hasn't got the ammo to kind of send it to the abyss, but it has gone down. Canada jump out. Shimoy gets an opening, but Beamy's there to exchange.
Oh, Denmark just picking up the pieces once more. K-Mine up against Unforgiven. He manages to find the knock on one, but Fevin is from Japan. Will confirm out that knock. Canada fall. And maybe India. Do they have the opportunity to regroup? I don't think so, Mark, with both Malaysia and Denmark not too far away.
Malaysia, they've got this little bowl they've got to try and play, and it's actually Team Ukraine in that northeast corner that's got some height advantage, causing damage. Nixon does find the level 3 helmet. Beamy finding the Panzer, must be pop that back in the vehicle. He does. He swaps back towards that mini, so it's going to give him an opportunity to sort of drive their way forward. But for now, everyone might calm down, we hope. Batalions, though, for Team Neutral is out in that blue on that north side.
Japan. That's 5 kills for India so far, and the circle actually shifting their way now, as well as Australia, Ukraine, and Neutral all need to start making their way inside that next phase. Japan, Mark, it's pretty much felt like Japan have died on the rotate every single game so far, and for once they find themselves in a pretty good position in Game 6. Can Japan climb their way off the bottom?
See what they can do. They have got the zone. You're all right. They got caught in those rotations. I feel like they took that one step too far. But this time, the zone's giving them the opportunity. But it only gives them the opportunity that those grasp it by both hands. And that team, for me, is Team Denmark. They make the push now. India launched a grenade out. They cause damage. It's a complete Kobe to Gustav.
Oh, he's going to toss another one towards Beamy, but Beamy manages to avoid the shrapnel as he steps across. Translucent, another nade at the ready as Beamy will try to send one back the other way, and Beamy's one might just do the damage. It does just a little as Translucent somehow manages to stay alive here. But Japan starting the third party on this one as well, Mark, as they encroach in.
But that's what they have to do. They have to clear up, be the last team on the south side. Japan up to 4 kills. Ukraine taking advantage, and they will deny Turkey an opportunity at second as they will take top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, Bustic gets the knock on to Tiggleton as well, as Australia will manage to get that regroup in, but it puts them behind on the rotate. Here comes the rest of Ukraine. Sunny side up in a fight with Ferris. Ferris, though, he's going to get caught out in Ukraine. Will fall as Japan pick up their 6th kill of the map. 6 teams left alive, Marker. That was great play by Sunny side up.
Not just one, but 2. Give me 2 of those. Malaysia able to sort of peek out above their little precipice, their little hole. And though, of course, a bit of damage though. Australia have a 2-2 hold. He goes for the over peak. It was a bait from Team Australia. Now they divert back and they apply the pressure.
Malaysia 1 kill for them so far, but they've got Australia and Lou from Neutral starting to push into this position as Monty will just first aid inside the smoke. Remember, this is a tough spot for Australia. Luke will now leave the compound as well. Tiggleton still playing a little behind, but do they know about Lou?
The foliage. They get away from them. Malaysia,
Main match में क्या होता है? Speed drop होता है ना?
Some damage now. They play people over the top. But what worries me is Malaysia's only one peeking over at a time. Tiggleton coming on the other side. They're going to close their way up. They're going to get the information. Malaysia go for the rotation round. But for Neutral, though, when does Lou activate?
Yeah, this is great for Lou. This is a distraction. Going to get more placement points. Maybe even a few kills he can steal away a little bit later. Monty tossing that nade up to try confirm the down. Maybe even get flood back up and push it up as Empt as he tries to just preemptively strike onto this team. Shen will find one. Empt steps into cover. Tiggleton finding himself in a world of trouble. More damage being dealt as Luke 12 steps up. He gets that knock. And Lou steps up now and he falls.
Oh, it's so close. He saw so many dead bodies in front of him, so many points potential, but Lou will go down. Shen, though, final player here from Malaysia for Team Australia. They're down to Luke 12. They have the opportunity to try and get the res. No other team can sort of sweep their way around. Japan is waiting in the wings, but when does Fevin take the flight and take the north side?
Yeah, but look, Luke has delayed this res for so long that it's allowed Shen to wrap around the other side, and Luke 12 will get 1 kill confirmed. Shen finds Flood Noise in that 1 versus 1, while Monty steps behind the tree to get the first aid. But this is Australia very slow on it, Mark.
He's got one clip as well. 41 bullets from Shen. There's 2 bodies from Australia in front. The flash comes over. He doesn't need one. He's got a half a clip, 21 shots, and Shen put Australia down.
They lined up perfectly, and Shen knocked them down. Australia go out, and under final 4. Japan a full 4. Denmark 2 alive. India and Malaysia with 1 player apiece. A sunny side up just begins to creep his way, trying to see over that ridgeline to see where Shen is, but Mark Shen, he's already migrating south towards where India and Denmark are waiting.
He's playing mind games. He's playing sneaky. He puts himself back in that pole. Malaysia's been in for a while. Denmark don't lose it in 2. India still entrenched in. Take a defensive position to the zone yet again. One more time, comes back their way. It's phase number 7, and it's a pretty standoff now.
Shen will just hide behind that BRDM. He's got the dip for plenty of cover as well. The question is, how many more points can these players get out of this game, Mark? You know, like, yeah, that's the problem. No ammo. I think Japan have to take advantage.
Yeah, but Japan, look at them, they're sweeping on this south side. They've left sunny side up on the sunny side on the north. For India, there's no need for them to move. They just kind of let these teams fight and look for a second place. I think that's the right play. Keta might pick up Shen, but at worst case scenario, actually for Team Denmark,
yeah, Fevan just peeking up over that ridgeline, scouting for the team. Look, Japan do not need to take any risks. You've got sunny side up, locking down the north, kind of feeding information as to what's clear and what's not. The problem is, Mark, that bowl. The center of the circle, there's a wide open bowl, and I think that all these teams just, they don't want to be the first team to move, because you feel like the first team to move will see the first player get knocked.
Yeah. Keta, he's the boat. And next shot, should we say, towards Shen, so he knows he's got danger now in the south. Information has been gained for Team Japan. They swap over. They go for the heavy load on the north. They leave a player down in the south side. Fevan will have to try and sweep in. Denmark does have Beamy just about in zone, but can Keta make it to him?
Yeah, Fevan just still playing that ridge line as Runax on the other side. Everybody just waiting to maybe get through. I think India has done a great job of just keeping Snipeball as hidden as possible, but it looks like Japan are starting to bring the fight over. The need from Goni is good, and now they've secured the north. It's a 4v2v1.
Genie music. Stays number 8. He's going to come towards the dot, and he's in open man's terrain. Japan does cause the damage. India has to try and work their way out. Gets the shot. Keta goes down to 1, but BB's there to exchange. India will fall. Malaysia is out, and it's a 4 versus 2. Can Denmark hold off the barrage from Japan?
Yeah, Keter still alive, as is Beamy, so you've definitely got 2 players who can pull off an upset, but for Denmark, top of the leaderboard, they're looking for that knock. Beamy stays in the fight, 5 HP, but didn't dip away just yet, and maybe he's going to punish for it. Goni, he's going to find one, and Japan, they are going to take the victory from bottom to 7th, Mark. Big win for the Japanese.
Not quite bottom to top, but yeah, it's a huge win. And Gibson, you alluded to it though, because they got the zone, they got the control, and this time round, James, they found themselves a victory. Japan, climbing the leaderboard.
Yeah, which backers are going to get in the way of Japan? That's the question for me. And it was unfortunately Denmark towards the end, but they're all smiles anyway. Look how well they're doing so far. But that is a very important win for Japan, Matrim, to be able to put themselves a little bit up this leaderboard for now.
This is a big game for them because they needed it. It was a struggle, but they timed it well. There was a couple of times I was a bit nervous that they might have split themselves up a bit too much, but they read the circle efficiently. While all of this catastrophe was going on coming out of stadium and everything else like that, they played it slower and are heavily rewarded for it.
Not the craziest run that I was maybe hoping for, but eventually we'll get there. I promise you, across these next days as we take a look at things. And this was quite the hold. India as well, rising to the occasion, Mark, to get something done against Argentina.
Yeah, they entrenched in quite early here. We do see the zone of play here quite a lot, so I like the mindset that they were hoping and praying for the zone. That they defended well, they did lose a couple of numbers, but when it mattered, they got kills on the board. And again, another team that's climbing this mid-pack really well.
Yeah, definitely a decent rise. As you say, being there early and being able to hold that off, not bad at all. Australia having to make it across the road, Gibson, and try and do something as well. Unfortunate for them that Lou still alive, alongside gods like Shen when it comes to this game.
Yeah, and I think that Lou's probably disappointed that he didn't do more damage from that position as well. But as Mark pointed out, Shen had one clip and he managed to take down both of those players as they lined up perfectly. A good game from Malaysia, but I gotta go back to it. How happy are you for India? Like, that hold on Argentina, phenomenal as they managed to wipe them out. And there's a huge Indian fan base of PUBG, so it's good for them to get to really put in some good work on Game 4.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if I think back to, maybe it wasn't the last time, but like 2023, I think they got in that final like 14 points in 15 games, right? So already we're on a better trajectory for India compared to where they were, Matrim, all things considered. So that's a good position for them, and likewise a great position for Japan, who you could see the initiative from them in the later stages of that game, right? Let's just constrict the remaining players. We know we've got control over this game, and let's exert our strength on that.
Boostic still walks away with man of the match, but you are dead on with it. Big game coming up for really India and Japan. Both India having to do a little bit of a firefight up against Denmark. It's going to make them feel a lot better, give them some better footing now the fact that they're realizing that they can step up against some of the best that are inside this lobby. But man, it just feels like Ukraine is inevitable. They are going to find their points every single game, even if they don't make it to the late game.
Yeah, let's take a look at the points coming in, because I pointed out something funny to Masha in the back whilst we were watching this game go down. But it is 19 points for Japan, very important. 18 points again for Denmark. And Mark, when you look at EMEA, especially the top 3 teams so far, halfway through that game, we had about 150 points between those 3 teams, and the rest of the lobby had about 170 points. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of farming skills, but positioning, especially from Denmark, really, really well for them. Like, they look to control, they know when to be aggressive, they know when to dial it back down, and I wonder why they're sitting up on those 57 points. A good play from them, the level of consistency. Unable to get a win just yet, but they're getting pretty close.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. As for Argentina as well, 27 points. Neutral, 26 points as all of these players walking back to their spot, as we will have a break in a few moments' time. Not just yet, of course, though. But Gibson, this is a nice little fight back here from some of the teams that really needed those points. You don't want to be ending day number 1 like single digits, at least. That would be terrifying.
Well, Japan had 1 point going into Game 4. Like, they had just not played at all going into it. So they needed that win to give themselves confidence going into tomorrow. But I think if you think back to PNC, one really good day isn't really enough. I remember France last year, like, everyone was singing France's praises and how good they were on the first day of PNC, and then on the second day they didn't even qualify for the finals. So I think for Japan and those teams at the bottom, like, yes, start getting points in, but it's 2 days work that will qualify you through to these finals.
Yeah, got to agree. I mean, the small sample sizes of games, right? Even if you just look at the first 3 games where suddenly all these teams are doing so well, it's just a small sample size. And if a team's doing bad in those 3 games, you can easily have a bounce back. One of those teams, Mark, I feel like could quite easily down the line beat Australia. Yeah, they didn't quite get the best of it here, all things considered. But you think about the names that are on that team, they're such veterans, so they potentially can bounce back no problem.
Yes, another all-star roster, and I think you're right. I think these teams, especially when we look at the sample size of data, I think it's all to do around with these zone shifts. We didn't quite get the chaotic rondo that I was kind of expecting coming into it, especially with the update to the land ratio. So I think teams are a little bit cautious about where they play and where they sort of position themselves into as we get further into the survival stage. A team, like you say, Team Australia, has the capabilities. They just needed to get that res on pretty quick, and they just left Shen waiting, and they didn't get the res on the time. Lou was a bit of a problem for them as well.
Yeah,
those little mistakes, that team will iron them out pretty quickly.
It's tough to go up against someone like Shen, who's been a PGS MVP. But anyway, let's get to it. We're going to go for a break, and when we return, one final game here for PNC 2026, day number 1.
Knocked out?
Yeah, knocked out.
Who's been knocked out? Hello everyone, welcome to another sit-down game time with Bella, and today's special guest to open up PNC is Team Finland. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Hello. We are going to play Never Have I Ever. The goal is get rid of one teammate to fold all 5 fingers. So the one that folds all 5 fingers first we have to give them a penalty. Should we do like a post-chicken ceremony, or what are you guys thinking?
Nothing.
Nothing. Maybe I should just designate like a TikTok dance for you to do.
No.
And you have to do one with me.
That sounds right.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we start? With you first, Corexy.
Never have I ever been to China.
Okay, coach down. 1. All right.
Never have I ever broken any gaming gear.
Oh, okay. If you have broken gaming gear. Okay.
I don't think I've broken anything.
He's lying. Never have I ever had sushi.
Sushi? You've never had sushi?
I have.
Taking. You have not?
I'm allergic to fish.
Oh. Okay, my condolences.
Never have I ever been knocked out. Knocked out, like.
Knocked out?
Yeah, knocked
Oh,
out.
who's been knocked out?
Me.
Oh. What?
Never have I ever drank alcohol.
That's a lie, right? That's not a lie?
That's not a lie. I mean, I tasted, but never drank. So you
drank it.
Okay, never. I changed. Never have I ever drank
back.
like bottle of alcohol or something.
You have 1.
0.
0.
I lost.
So I guess we have to have 2 penalties. That's
Push-up
fine.
challenge.
Decide. Do you guys want to do push-ups now, or do you want to do it like post-chicken?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, I will be hunting you guys down for it. All right. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you at the next one too. Bye.
Can you beat out the other challengers to secure that chicken dinner? Next up, we've made some changes to make smoke more realistic. As we mentioned in the 2026 roadmap, smoke is now interactive and can be displaced by explosions and other physical collisions, such as vehicles, care package landings, and more. No longer will smoke be the ultimate cover. You'll have to utilize strategy to make the most of it or fight against it. We've made a few balance changes this patch as well. The SLR has gotten some improvements. We've rebalanced the blue zone a bit, and healing items have seen some adjustments to weight and cast time. You can find out more about these changes in the patch notes. There's also a new rank season. Racing mode added to UGC mode. Intense Battle Royale can now take place on Haven, and more. So be sure to check out the patch notes for full details. Update 42.1 is here. So grab up some rebalanced gear, drop into a faster-paced rondo, and don't wait around for the smoke to clear. We'll see you on the Battlegrounds.
मैंने खेला नहीं मैं अभी तक आया था वो बस थोड़ा डार्क नहीं है एंगल डार्क डार्क
more game for day number 1 of the survival stage here for PNC 2026. And he always manages to somehow get on the camera. I can't believe it again here, but Denmark is looking feisty, looking hot. But there was a fight back in our previous game, of course, from the likes of Japan, the likes of India here to be able to make things work. Joining me, Gibson, Mark, as well as Matrim here to talk about these games coming up. And Mark, suffice to say, I'm really happy to see the fight back in the previous game from some of these teams on the lower side.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go out Martin's haircut. It's pretty fresh. The fight back is real, though, from those guys. And for me, look, it's an opportunity, best of 10, one good game, 5 a day, could potentially change things around. You do write off. We did say this in the pre-show, that is the kind of a team neutral as a team. Ukraine, obviously, already going through. We're fighting for limited spots. I definitely feel like Turkey's in there now, and Ukraine 100%. So for Team Japan, that last game was huge for them. They got the zones, they controlled a win, and they got a handful of kills that gets them right up into them.
I got to agree. It's kind of a weird situation that now we're theorizing already, Gibson, after 4 out of the 10 games, that there's probably 5 spots left.
Yeah, and the funny thing to me is, like, Ukraine, you'd think they'd lock their spot in, but I feel like Neutral haven't had the day they want to, so you expect they're going to activate at some point, but I still think Turkey are the big surprise. I picked them for fantasy,
Agreed.
but I didn't expect them to be as good as they've been today so far.
Totally. Schiller obviously really being able to do a lot of damage here so far, and like even Code Marco, Metabay, and Celtic being able to get, even if it's just salvage points, match them at some moments, right? Turkey has looked really good so far.
They've been very consistent. Going all the way back into game number 1, they've been making it in later stages. Of course, having a couple of higher kill count games. We've been talking about the top 3 repeatedly, of course, because they've just been eating up the lion's share points. We're talking about how they just pretty much had almost the rest of the lobby. But then we had a conversation in the last games where it was like consistency and the importance of that. But right now, 4th place is like what, 27, 28 points? Half what we're looking at is 3rd place. A game or 2 really can be enough to get you into that top 8 with how big of a sponge is happening at the top. So when you see something like what happened that last game where
सबसे बड़े लूजर तो आप उतना टाइम आपके पास है किसी को कमेंट सेक्शन में ये बोलने का इससे बढ़िया कुछ प्रोडक्टिव करो यार PMS में रजिस्टर किया था तुमने
Still though, Turkey has looked not too bad at all, not too shabby keeping up with Denmark, all things considered, Mark. Beam is a bit of a phenom, and we already know that from Virtus Pro, their PGS wins, etc.
Yeah, it's just the ability to manage situations really well. No wonder why he's up here with the kills, damage is high as well. So he's definitely putting the shift in for the team. I think overall, I don't take anything away from Denmark. They've had a hard fight. They've had to push their way in. They don't have the zone.
मेरा फोन तो रिचार्ज भी है कंपनी को कॉल कर दिया.
Their own, and no wonder that we see big kills coming out from BB.
It's exciting as well, though, to see Turkey do as well as they have so far, Gibson, considering that's our destination for PGC, right? The game is always, big there. We've got a lot of very active players there in EMEA as a whole. They've had a bit of a hard time in regionals as well as PGSs, but it's exciting to see them do well for this day number 1 so far.
I think it is, because we'll all agree it's been not the best performances by S2G over at the PGSs. Like, they've been on the wrong side of the leaderboard more often than not. So I think for them, having a strong PNC, building up that pride again and the talent that they have, like, I'm not saying they're going to go out and win this and go out and win PGSs, but it's something positive to give them something to work at going in towards PGC at the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Any other teams here? Like, when we cast our eyes further down, Matrim, who else are you looking at to be able to kind of either rise up in this game or rise up over the next day? Because they definitely need to be challenging.
There's 2 that I just keep my eyes on, going like, I just want to hit him with the stick and be like, do something.
Okay.
Last game we started to see it a little bit. That's Australia. Australia has been involved in some stuff. Like we saw like mortars come up in game 1, but hasn't turned into a lot of points. Other side of that is Argentina. Argentina has been quietly holding down that like 4th and 5th place position, and they are being consistent, but we have a lobby that's been very top heavy with the top 3, and this is a squad that can compete in that category, but it feels like just hasn't synergized yet, and I'm waiting for that to happen. I feel like they have a decent chance on qualifying, but this is a squad that's not going to feel good about qualifying. They want to make a name. They want to show that they can compete against those top 3 because that gives you momentum. This is a weak lobby. let's be honest, this is a weak lobby compared to what we're going to be looking at in the grand finals. You need to be competing against these top three if you want to have a chance when we get to the grand final.
And here's the overall leaderboard so far, with Argentina in a position where they're at number 4, not doing too bad, but not able to keep up with that top 3 so far. I've got to come to you, Mark, because in number 12...
Oh, I knew it was coming. Knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Hey, look, they will drop from 8 down to 12. Pretty tight, but look, going out pretty early in the game is not what you need. I think the team needs to manage a best of 10, and you can throw away a game best, but you can't allow
third place and
Norway playing a lot better than Team UK. I do want to see the boys come back, and it comes down to those placement points. Look at the difference between those two teams. Norway is up with 10 placement points. Team UK only able to find 2. So it's telling me they're unable to find that mid-game an opportunity to springboard into a late game. That's what they need to fix. And are they making the right calls?
I'm scrolling up in our chat to look at people's fantasy teams, because I feel like Matrim's might be the best so far. Or
I have 4 in the top 5, so it's...
I mean, also, I'll be honest, Australia's holding me back a little bit. Australia's holding me back.
Yeah. Actually, no, now that you've all said that, I know one thing for sure. I'm doing the worst. So that's
change topic production. Don't bring up the graphic at any point. It's fine.
That's a problem. We're moving on. We'll see. No, but yeah, so good stuff by you guys so far here, Mark. Especially considering that again, it seems like Denmark looking fantastic here so far. Who else do you have, Mark?
UK is my worst. So I went Ukraine, UK, Argentina, Denmark. I knew Argentina was going to make the play against Team India. Quite surprised that they've kind of disengaged on that as well. And maybe like last game, they completely stopped it, because Team India stopped that push into that late game. Denmark was always going to be a strong contender, and I think everyone picked Ukraine, right? We always knew Ukraine's going to go through. It's only Team UK that's let me down. But as I say, they were allowed one game to potentially drop the ball. This last game, they have to finish day number 1 of the bank.
Gibson's is looking great as well. I mean, you had technically your wild card was Turkey, but I mean, they've just looked brilliant.
Yeah, they've been one of the better teams in it. Look, I thought the neutral would be a lot better than what they've been, just looking at the teams, but I had to go Argentina. Just knowing how they've been playing, knowing how many wins they have at PNC, they were a team that I feel like couldn't leave out, but they're still not comfortable going into the last game of the day.
Of course, my wild cards in effect were Finland and Kazakhstan, and I think both have floundered, had a bit of a hard time.
I was going to ask. Dumb American over here, guys. I had bigger expectations for Finland. What the child's going on?
Well, you remember that time that they got killed off by Denmark in that game on Tago? That's all I'm going to have. So, in fact, it wasn't even just Denmark, it was just Beamy, now that I think about it. As we take a look at their numbers against Ukraine. So very close head-to-head here between them, which really does kind of, I think, paint an amazing light on Denmark Matrim, considering we all came in with insane expectations for Ukraine, but Denmark has been able to go blow for blow with them really strong.
I mean, I came in with some pretty big ones for Denmark as well. Words, man, they're hard sometimes.
Oh.
I mean, Gustav and Beamy that's a ridiculously strong squad, and side by side, man, that's brutal. Top 4% 0. Oh.
This is again. This the Simpsons meme. Stop! They're already dead. I
think they'll come through though. I think Finland will get to a top 8. Like, I know
did Martin request
shaky
this?
start, but they're okay.
Did Martin request this? No, get him out of here. He's not. He'll somehow, even though all 4 of us will be on the desk here, his little head will pop out from one of the boxes. How's he got here as well? What's going on? But no, yeah, tough times for Finland. I think you're right though. I think that there is definitely a better expectation of what they could do relative to what they have done so far, Gibson, because there's some great names on that roster.
Yeah, and I think we would have wanted them to do better, but it's early days. There's still 6 maps to go. Maybe they can get something going in the last match of the day. But I've always said it, if you want to win, get a Finn. I'm being made look a bit like an idiot so far today, though.
Well, when you probably set that in place, it was Jempty, Sampty, Mexi, and all those boys back in the day. But anyway, let's get to it. Game number 5 is our final game as we move on to Erangel once again. It's going to be me and Matrim bringing you all the action here from the
Wait, is reaction liya inhone?
All right, well, end off the day, there's a lot of storylines, of course, top 3 that we're going to be looking at, but the rest of the pack still has opportunity. Like we were talking about, 27 points right now, I think. is 4th place. You can get that in this game. There is the potential for it. We've been seeing squads do it time and time again, but you got to get the top 3 to falter. When you get a playing path that's pretty much straight across the map, anything can happen.
And India has already pivoted. You can see it on that west side, West Road coastline. They have gone elsewhere. They don't want to have to deal with Argentina being annoying across Boatyard, as well as the potential of Rozhok. I think Argentina realizes that and is stretching very thin, knowing that India is not coming with them. So quite a shift considering what could have occurred in the middle of this map.
Catching a quick glimpse at what's going on with Japan in their landing. They're going to be pretty open around Gaka, nothing to be concerned about. Vehicles secured early for multiple players, so that way they can kind of continue the trash looting strategy that's going to be over there for the time being. Kazakhstan's going to be making the push down to Primorsk. They should be fine. Looks like they were trying to make sure that Upchin couldn't go
Favor
out.
zone.
Ooh,
Nice
Kazakhstan, India, Japan. Great position early, as this is going to be pretty much a quarry circle.
That also has the potential for a lot of what. Imagine if we just get a full Primorsk ending, because it's possible now. I mean,
I love Primorsk endings, man.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, admittedly, it have to be a lot of south hard shifts, but
IPOZ game जा सकता है ये पे boys.
Well, the way these competitive
Nice.
circles go, never. Not multiple hard shifts down in one specific direction. That never happens. I mean, even if we look over where India's at into the west, there's a lot of capabilities for some fun circles over there. If this leans more north, that's going to be the more sad section of it, as we're getting kind of a glimpse back on what was going on with the circles and rotations from the last game.
yeah, as we have, of course, seeing how Japan was able to make this work on out, and I think they were afforded quite a lot of room early on, which was then able to parlay themselves into decent positions, decent spots later on. It wasn't like the heaviest kill game coming in from Japan here, but they knew how to control the space required on the west side to be able to continue those west shifts.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it right there. It's just about keeping enough control over in that western area, because a lot of the clustering was happening more around the stadium fields positions, the kind of what was happening with that. So as long as you can just kind of force rotations and get enough control, this approach right here was their pivotal moment. Whenever they stepped up against Denmark, being able to weaken them out on this, getting these couple of flushes out, denied Denmark's capability
Japan
to
को भी
really
अच्छा
defend
favor
this
है
angle,
zone
also opened up a little bit more movement for India.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's kind of that symbiotic relationship on some of those positions, right? You kind of like effectively defend each other as time goes on with these kind of spots. It's not too bad at all. I guess it's like an unofficial agreement of like, okay, yeah, but if we peek over, we're going to end up causing damage to one another. But the fact that Japan was able to take out Ukraine over on the west side of that circle as well, very, very important stuff.
Just kind of the slow roll into the tail end. I mean, they had the numbers advantage. They knew who they lined up. This was just good scouting. They knew where the solo up for India was. They knew where Denmark was because they had already done the damage beforehand. So they sweep it in and just close it out very fast. And this is something a lot of squads that I would say that are newer to competitive or playing on higher ends can struggle with. So you can see that Japan understood how to counterflank around, get control points from every side angle, and just close it efficient.
Yeah, I know you're keen on Japan doing well. 20 points for them in 7th place, not bad at all. But I know you would just, you know, maybe you'd like to have an event or two in Japan. I know you'd be privy to that. You'd be liking that.
Well, yeah, dude, like, yeah, I love Malaysia. I love Thailand.
Yeah,
but, you know, there are other countries in the area that maybe we could dance out and visit a little bit, you know? I wouldn't be opposed to it. I like the fact that we're getting a splash of Turkey this year.
Yes, I mean, it feels like a really weird year for me, especially, Greg, considering that normally, there used to be a period of time where I would do so many events in Europe and that kind of local region, but now all of a sudden EWC is in Paris, PGC is in Turkey, which is, you know, half Asia, half Eurasia, so half Europe even, I should say. So it feels weird. I don't have to fly much at all. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Tell it to the guy that's awake at 2 o'clock in the morning and casting and still has to travel all around the... Oh, yeah.
Just move to Poland. It's a lovely place.
Boostic के DMR highlight देखे तूने भी?
By the day, the way that these schedules work, man. I figure it's got to work out pretty well, as it looks like we're starting to get set up with everything on the circle. This is over in Lippo, not inside the circle, really far over in the east, where it's going to be Malaysia making their rotate. They're going to have Turkey in front of them. Back on the circle, we've got India, Kazakhstan, Chinese Taipei, Australia, Japan, as well as Argentina, all going for very prime positioning early. You can see, trying to see if they can get the most out of this circle, get as much points as possible.
Yeah, I'm hoping for more from Malaysia, right? Shen, of course, highlighting him here, PGS MVP. That's a huge performance from him, looking as good as he did alongside what is effectively a revitalized 4AM. and as much as they found themselves in a position where they constantly were challenged for PGSs, a lot of that came off the back of Shen's performances, right? He just looked like an absolute monster. There's a reason I call him the Tasmanian Devil of PUBG. But alongside the R8 guys, it's got to form quicker, right? You've only got 2 days to get yourself into that final.
It's so weird because like we have seen like AJ accomplish some stuff, but you're right. It is mostly Malaysia on Shin shoulders, and he's got to make big things happen. And sometimes you're just trying to force an evolution with the players around you in a situation like that, right? Because that was one of the things about Nations Cup is you're playing with people outside the squads that you normally play with. They're competitive, so you've got to try to force them to understand like we're doing this because of this, and it's kind of a hyperbolic time chamber for a couple of players. Can they get there fast enough? And with only 2 days of play, that's hard. So instead, it's a lot on Shin's shoulders, and you've got to get like that clutch that we saw against All Australia. He had to do that. There was no other way around it. He needed to do it for them.
Most envied player, Hakatori. I mean, this is from anecdotal evidence. Whenever we're talking to the players on location at these tournaments and stuff like that, that is true. Like everyone's like, yeah, I just don't want to fight against Hakatori. I was like, oh yeah, Hakatori is a god. Oh yeah, he's a machine. Oh yeah, he's a cyborg. So like, I can understand why that is a factually accurate statement coming in from good old Hakatori.
I'm thinking like the player's a little bit more
nice,
not necessarily gameplay based. It's most India player, right? So they just like, man, his arms are so big. You know, like our players can be weird about how they would interpret it Indie. Like the amount of people that go and work out and do stuff like that. I mean, let's be honest, Hakatori is a good-looking man.
Well, yeah, that ought to pull back the curtain, right? He's the Chinese girls like him. Like whenever we're in China, like they all think he's a really handsome guy. So there you go. A man of few words, though, apparently. Whenever we get these interviews going with him, but you know what? He lets his actions speak more than those words.
Old school stoicism, I appreciate it. As our rotates are mostly finishing out, we do have the potential for a dust up over into the northeast, where we've got Denmark, Malaysia, Finland, all rotating around where Everest is going to be at. You can see that we do also have that Kingdom around Ice just needing to get into the circle, but they're going to have Turkey with a little bit of Norway in front of them. I don't know, James, he's got goals, and it's going to be Caro Marco down. Turkey does get vengeance, though.
You gave me like a weather report. Turkey with a little bit of Norway ahead. Norway is down, unfortunately, there for James. Unfortunate casualty to take as the rest of Norway is rotating on past. I don't think they want much of this fight though. Although that's good shots here from
Turkey और नॉर्वे का तो वो हो गया rotation clash.
Maybe they can get the blue chip back on the board. The only problem is that's a very west circle shift onto this beach line. That's going to cause some problems here for these teams.
It's your time, Malaysia. Find you another boat. Big opportunities in front of you. Philippines.
Nice knock by Ela.
Canada going for the early game aggressions are going to get punished for it yet again. Philippines high ground just too strong.
Net कर दे. और ओ पूरे पर गए.
There it goes. That is just Philippines.
एक ही स्प्रे में आ गए तो ना एकदम fuck. 1v4 हो गया भाई.
Look at him, he's smiling, he loves it. Yes, what a hole.
खुश हो गया बंदा.
Fourth place right now, in and amongst the big names so far. What a great showing from them so far here for day number one. Of course, the rest of them do need to kind of congratulate, get back up top here. As a little bit of a retreat on out. They were
लगता तो इंडियन ही है थोड़ा.
India did move in alongside them. Alex getting away from that, making sure they don't lose any casualties. This is great play from the Philippines.
Hybrid.
This is a good point to play inside the circle, especially given the way it's got so much water that's still going to be inside of it. Finland's coming in from the north. You also want to note that Ukraine has managed to make coastfall over into the west. That means that they don't have anybody back behind them, and then they can start just doing their forward march whenever they go. Over in the east, it's a lot more clustered, as it is going to be neutral that's kind of holding out over into the northeast, keeping what's going to be happening with Japan just in front of them. Is a couple of these tail end squads are going to find that, yes, there's still territory to claim in this circle, but it's not going to be comfortable.
आसपास जब कोई होता नहीं है ना तो नीचे थोड़ा लोअर चला सकते हैं उसे.
I mean, again, an accelerated game state in these kinds of circles. Ukraine has taken
नहीं फ्यूल नहीं बचता. फ्यूल तो तुम्हारी स्पीड पे बचता है.
The west coast as well, so that they've taken such a 2-2 that actually it's
माइलेज मेंटेन करनी पड़ती है मिड उसमें कम करके
and really kind of cordons off any maneuvers from other teams from
क्या
the
ग्रेट
spot.
ब्रिटेन वापस डेनमार्क क्या
The rest of
चढ़ेगी
these teams currently crashing in on
यस
the
बिल्कुल
side here.
चढ़ेगी
Denmark going up against the UK.
अरे
which
बेंचो मारा ही नहीं
actually,
अरे
has a chance of maybe some hot drops going on over in Rondo. Wasn't end up being the case here. Mixon takes
ले
some shots against the
चटका दिया
UK.
कैटर ने
Takes down Michael. So already Great Britain losing someone very early, but T
एक शॉट और नाइस
I mean, Neutral just forced Great Britain over into this angle, and Denmark was trying to set up around it, but couldn't really get as much of it as they wanted to. It's getting a lot more
Drive by
dicey
our
into the
bot.
northeast. As you can see, even Malaysia's going to be rotating back behind this. Might choose to go for a third or fourth party, as there is just nowhere for Great Britain to go, just one up.
भाई ब्रिटेन का गेम तो बहुत गंदा गया आज
They're getting involved in this, now starting to take shots at both sides of it. I don't even know where UK can go.
No, this is a tough one. Oh no, goodbye Great Britain. Yeah, it's okay, my heart bleeds. Anyway, moving on.
अबे लू ले गया उसका किल साला
Got ourselves the opportunity here for as India does get that circle
अरे
shift
थोड़ा
into
फैल
what
के
is an
खेलो भाई
extremely
प्लीज
large compound. I wouldn't even call it a compound, right? It's like very separated across one another. It can be difficult to defend, but there's a lot of open area around it. So if teams move in alongside you, you've got an opportunity, a window to shoot at them. But usually you would expect a team to move in on the south side of that compound and kind of exist alongside you.
Oh yeah, and the key feature on this one for me is the road that cuts right through the middle of it. There's a big drop off over into the east, and a lot of teams are going to have a high ground advantage on people that are playing kind of swampy and field lands. It's going to be very hard to navigate, especially given the fact that the cluster into the northeast is the squad that's going to have to move again.
अभी ये वो लिमिट है ना जिधर पानी में भी घुस जा सकते हैं.
Denmark, Finland, all coming into a much more entrenched positioning, coming up from squads like Philippines, who we just saw pop off. Australia also right along that same line.
वापस फिनलैंड आते हुए दोबारा
Finland doesn't have any choices.
अरे इस बार तो ये निकल रहे
aggressively, and Philippines are just going to give it away. I don't mind this at all.
I agree. Still separated off. You've got to be very careful about that. Yes, you've been able to make one insane hold actually happen, but I don't know if two is going to be the case, especially since Finland's still very proficient at this gunplay, gunfights going down.
So, yeah,
you can't know that it's exactly Finland there in that moment, but Sata does realize that an entire fight has gone down there, and is checking out some of them boxes along the way.
Yeah, Finland's got Corexi, I believe, up in the air right now, and Philippines saw that, pulled away, realizing the fact that all their positioning had been revealed. Neutral's got nowhere to go, so they've just got to cut the path, and they're going to be running right next to Malaysia. Are they even going to take any shots at it? It's going to be the
मार हो रहा है
अरे बेचारे Shin's going to go down. Neutral coming in with big firepower.
Big slide on pass, trying to find themselves a little bit of a spot as well, taking down Shen. Yeah, very important. And of course, he is really a lot of the gun power here from Malaysia at the moment. Australia, though, does know exactly where they're moving on around, and below them. As a doozy does get fall to Tiggleton of all people. So now, see if Australia can clean up a little bit more of this. But Malaysia's looking for revenge here.
Long Hail Mary nades, gonna make it a little bit difficult for Lou. The curve around, gonna make it a bit scarier, but everything's starting to calm down. There is still 12 back behind this, but there's a new contender in Denmark. Late rotate coming up from them and Turkey both, and it looks like Denmark might be trying to pass in the same angle that we saw Neutral take. It's going to be Australia's Luke 12, already taking pot shots at them to maybe shoo them away, but Denmark's coming in full gusto.
अबे नहीं
Party joining this
भाई
real quick.
डबल हेड पड़ गए
here, where are you going to actually go? Tiggleton does take down Mixon completely, but here comes Beanie and the boys looking to just rocket on through. I feel like there wasn't even really a shot taken on the drive-by. Gustav does finish off.
क्या बीच में से काट के ले गया भाई ये
like Levante and the boys can continue to survive on. Beamy's found himself a crater, not bad at all. Use the car as cover on
मुझे तो
what
जोन
would
मिल
be the
गया
vulnerable side of that crater,
गुस्ताव
considering
तो
it's on
अपना
the
करता
side of
रहे
the hill. Like that setup.
Gustav did have to rotate more to the north, so he's going to be trying to wrap around through more open territory in the fields, but the circle does pop to the south, making it even more complicated. Kazakhstan's going to find themselves in the center, Argentina up to the north, and then a lot of squads just playing right along the edge. Notice that Ukraine's gotten even closer.
अब इन पे मोटार हो तो हिल पे छेद कर लो भाई साहब
Teams that are starting to rotate around them, but the focus is also happening down to the south.
I like that thing said that Ukraine and Chinese Taipei fight was 90% imminent. Meanwhile,
ये नेट अच्छा होना चाहिए लड़का
so there's maybe some bugs in the machine for sure, but anyway, it's got neutral
अबे
here.
गिर के कैसे मर रहे हैं लोग
At
आज
the moment, this is a problem as well, as Lou unfortunately falls to his death. Tiggleton trying to do a little bit more damage against all of this, but I think for neutral, they've got themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're on that road, yes, technically it would shelter you from some fights going down, but if there's teams right above you, it can only last so long.
Yeah, and most of their vehicles are probably just absolutely wrecked at this stage. You're going to be limping your way into the circle, just hoping the other squads move faster. Wage is getting some vision on Denmark. Doesn't quite get the knock, but AJ at least shoos him away from an angle of defense that he was willing to try to hold. Finland's now going to be coming in a little bit more for center play, and it's going to be on to Kazakhstan to defend.
Marco, not bad things against Scav at the moment on the other side of this here as the story tries to... no. I can't tell if he got run over there, but it will be Sata that actually finished him off. Hobber trying to deal with a little bit of this at the moment, shooting through some of this foliage as well. Simply confined with the barrel. A little bit blow for blow at the moment. Not really a full shutdown, but on the other side of things, neutral is gone.
Yeah, it's no big surprise. A couple of squads just finding angles onto him. Finland and Kazakhstan is kind of contained. They're in their own little bowl right now, so this is their own fighting arena, but Australia's going to be getting closer and closer by the second. Chinese Taipei down to the south might get some vision on it, but you can see that this is a pretty vertical section leading down into the more defended position that Kazakhstan's playing. With all the smokes down, it's kind of created its own separation to where Kazakhstan doesn't want to go back up into Finland's vision because they're afraid of where Australia's going to be playing from. It kind of the side angles of approach.
Yeah, there's moments where you need to have other teams kind of firing over across what you and then basically having them cover you. Multiple teams having that fight on down. That's a great nade coming forward here. Pippa will shut down Alan Bots as well. And seeing what they can get done, trying to get into their shack, knowing that on this north side it will give them a bit of a reprieve from some of the firefights that are going down. They see in the distance as well. Philippines still on the warpath. I feel like Philippines is always fighting, and Beamy's got something to say about that.
He just finds the way
तो लास्ट ही बचा उसका किल मिल जाएगा ना तो इवन कोई वाला
great start. Suddenly find themselves in a ton of trouble. Argentina going to be trying to gatekeep them out and reclaim that fourth place position now that neutral has usurped it into fifth place. But just 1 point between them all. Ukraine starting to come live over in the west. India right next to it as well. What are you going to do? Is now Malaysia's just running down right in front of everybody. Things just trying to send it, and the circle pops yet again down to the south.
Not bad.
अबे यार ये यूक्रेन वाले बहन
Dividing this circle is going to be a problem later on down the line. Malaysia's going to make a move, but it's a bit of a desperate one. As you can see them here now moving in alongside Turkey. Does get a bit of a run over, but he is shut down. Crawl back, get that res off. The shots are coming in, and it's not quick enough on the move. Oh, that's a shame there for Code Marco.
That's pretty harsh. Okay,
Unlucky
so this field is kind of low ground positioning, giving the more higher position that Chinese Taipei is playing. But it's also a very wide, flat section that doesn't have a lot in it. So those couple of dips that Turkey was playing gave them so much control over the territory next to them, and what's kind of holding back Ukraine. Now Ukraine might start getting a couple of crazy ideas, but it's going to be more crazy ideas first coming up from India. Doesn't have too many choices except for pushing directly into Ukraine.
Trying for what they can. At the same time, on the other side of things as well, Australia is trying to figure out what they want to do. Will they push up against Japan potentially to then try and cross that road into the swampy area? A little bit further into another swamp area, of course, as Kazakhstan knows that there potentially will be some moving going on there. Well, we'll lay low. We'll wait and see what goes on here.
Hey, they're center of the circle, man. They're feeling good right now. They're center of the circle in the center of the circle. So life is good enough as Norway looks like they're trying to creep in on one side of it. Kazakhstan realizing that they're starting to become a little bit more of a focal point from those squads over into the east. And
Argentina जितना broke होगी उतना अपने लिए अच्छा है.
Arena a while ago is going to be potentially its own problem as everybody's going to be running down into it for cover.
Sats trying to get some information. No moving going on there against Kazakhstan so far. Australia still looking the way of Japan, knowing that they're eventually... Japan needs to move, but so do they. So I think they're biding their time, waiting for Japan to make that move, trying to take those shots and then crossing the road and trying to enter that position as well. That being said, though, Japan's already got to cover. So
अबे उस टाइम पे ना
उनको
फैल के खेलना था जब यूक्रेन उनके पीछे थी.
This is just very well played from Japan. They read how the cover was going to present for them, knew the fact that they could get away from Australia, creeping forward as they go. Norway's been a lot more hot. Back behind all of it. Maitzi's going to go down. Defense for Australia on the other side quite strong, but the Aussies still got to get in this circle.
Big take with 3 at the moment for Australia, trying to pull them up by the bootstraps. As now Ukraine
की बात कर रहा था मैं,
does
8G
completely dismantle India on that northern side. I think if you're India, I think you're cowering in your boots as well. Just try and stay away from Ukraine as long as possible. See if you can maybe heal in the blue. I don't know. Beamy's doing it just that, just in true gloomy fashion. But India's gone, dying off to the blue.
Big push for Australia if they can get the knocks
Japan to
onto
bach
Japan.
jayegi.
This could be massive for them. But Kazakhstan now starting to do some
Right
defense
side
of
Argentina ki
territory.
read
It
ho
was going to
gaya.
be very close.
Gaadiyan
So
bhi hai.
Australia's position that they were playing for more vulnerable than they thought from a more active Kazakhstan. Circle is popped and it is very favorable to
that's
Turkey's
not now,
position as well as Ukraine, which is a big problem for everybody else. Remember, we still have the road that cuts through and that big drop off into the eastern section. So everybody on high ground is going to be fighting amongst themselves while everybody else is fighting in the lower section.
भाई यूक्रेन का ही चिकन क्यों दिख रहा है मुझे दोबारा
Intersect still means that there is going to be a real big problem.
कह रहे आज तो फर्स्ट पे ही खत्म करेंगे.
That said though, are we on a path for a Ukraine 3 wins on the day? It might be the case here if they're able to continue to
अरे
control
नहीं
that western side.
इसको बड़ी जल्दी होती है साले को. फ्लैश पॉप होने के बाद जाना.
Monty also take down sunny side up. Can they just keep sweeping? Yes they can. Japan dismantled just like that.
जापान तो कुछ कर ही नहीं पाई उधर खड़े खड़े. ओ जापान कह रहा हूँ.
Argentina on one side, Kazakhstan on the other, back into the more, I guess, cratery section of these fields. Turkey's still just trying to keep defense from Ukraine, and as they can keep it contained long enough, a lot of people appreciate it. Norway just kind of roams right in, and that is going to be a big distraction for Ukraine. Do they now go after the solo that is repositioned, keep themselves safe from their backsides, or do they focus in on Turkey? Well, now Australia is getting more mobile, and they are going to be going to the Kazakhstan side.
They're trying for it. Let's big push up here, and IM5 and Ermac go as quickly as that as well. So Flood, good job by him. That's 8 kills for Australia. You ask him for the Australia fight back. Well, here we are. Here, as they've got themselves plenty of kills to boot. Not a bad spot to play as well. I think the next problem that will occur is the fact that Chinese Taipei, just on the south side across the ridge line, technically Finland is alive as well in between them. I think that they'll stay as low as possible though until the very last minute.
This is the lowest profile squad by far. I mean, Finland has just been kind of hunkered down inside that crater for the longest time. I mean, we've got stats for like how much movement somebody has done. I want to see how low a team has been for. Maybe Turkey might be able to fight them, given the fact that they've been having to deal with Ukraine for so long. They've had to just kind of hang out on their bellies for a bit. But I agree. Chinese Taipei has got to make some type of move here.
What do you call that? The conga stat? The conga line stat? Is that?
अबे मेजरली रेड जोन इधर ही बने हैं. एक वो अर्जेंटीना की साइड बने थे.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
दो इधर बने हैं.
See now if they can do anything about it. As now we've got Ukraine here, still looking the way of Chinese Taipei. That is across the circle. Maybe the AI was right, but yeah, they were quite far away from each other before all of this. Now, having hunkered down on this circle, at least it's across the way. As mortar shots coming in.
I'm thinking that this is on the Finland, maybe Australia. I think that the line might be a little bit more onto Australia. Yep. Australia, though, just going to be playing the hillside. Should be fine. But I like that Argentina realizes the threats and approach, because the way that this hillside kind of wraps, you have to assume that whoever's going to be winning this low ground firefight is going to be the squad that they're going to have to contend against. New circle pops, and yep, Argentina's going to have to make their way down a little bit more to the south, and Ukraine's still just got to figure out how to deal with these craters in front of them in Turkey.
Yeah.
दो बंदे मार के.
I was wondering how much util they had available to them, because that's really kind of the determining factor in a moment like this, right? Okay, you know that there's craters in front of you and you know where players are, but if you don't have nades to get rid of them almost instantly, basically, like, what can you actually do about it? Maybe they're just, you know, being very reserved about any usage of it and are holding on to it, but regardless of the fact, it feels like almost certain kills if you're able to identify where they are.
I'm just waiting for Chinese Taipei to kind of like look down into this. They can't really do it too much because Ukraine is doing some shots across the circle at them, but that has forced them to play more onto this eastern side of it. And that's going to leave Finland extremely vulnerable whenever Chinese Taipei does this. Like, they have to walk this angle. There's going to be a point where there's no safety to be had from it. So at what point does Finland choose to strike, or are they just going to play this as fast as possible and eventually just get taken down?
It's definitely a slow roll. I mean, there's technically a world where Australia doesn't actually even know that they're there. It's unlikely, but they came along after the fight had gone down prior to between other teams, and those other teams are gone now, who had information and a bead on exactly where they were. So it could be laying low and trying to. Okay. No, I mean, that nade is going all the way over towards Chinese Taipei. It's a bit of a dicey situation here.
Yeah, if Australia just walks up this hillside and they don't have a read on where Finland's going to be playing at, Finland can absolutely ruin them. And we saw that Finland is just listening to every single footstep around. Argentina on the other side of it, making this a lot more dastardly. In a rotate coming up from Australia. Turkey now starting to get the barrage. Dropped right on top of them, the car as well, but narrowly survives.
So close, Metabay surviving just with a sliver of health. He's going to have to go for a heal straight away. But those nades coming forwards means that Turkey now knows that there is danger afoot very soon. I think that technically the Ukraine boys do actually have a little bit more util, but they don't want to expend so much as to not have any going into the later stages of this game. Still holding on down. Chinese Taipei slow rolling it as well. It has been an agonizing pace here for these final moments, but I think it's just because all these teams know exactly what's at stake.
Okay, Australia is starting to get more focused in the Argentina line, and now it is going to be Ukraine making the push on top of Turkey. This is going to be a dangerous step down, and that is going to be Hakatori down right on the cusp of positioning on the crater. Just enough with the way that the circle is set. Ukraine still has to move, but let's not forget there is a player for Norway over here that could creep up and be a third party at the worst time for Ukraine.
Yeah, can Turkey completely scupper any potential strength that Ukraine would have had? It's looking like it right now. As Hakatori being down, I mean, there was just no sound cues against Metabay there. Like, the smoke was down, that would, even if he was moving, that would hide some of it. And then now, difficult times here to be able to make something work. Or was it Celtic? It might have been Celtic. Anyway, regardless, no sound cues against Turkey. And now, Chinese Taipei feels like they have to make a move. Look how flat this area is in the middle, though. Oh.
I mean, this is the time to do it with Ukraine being a bit more distracted.
Oh, nice.
Comes along, Corexi gets down too. The Aussies with their focus on Argentina are punished. Here comes Chinese Taipei. They've realized, and it is now just Corexi looking back up. He gets another one. Can he make it to safety? Oh, finally goes down.
What a heartbreaker for Australia, not realizing what was going down here. Swami causing problems. And now here Turkey pops up once again here against Ukraine. One already knocked though, doing tons of damage. Schiller finally gets rid of Tekkas on the backside of it here. Chinese Taipei might have a huge lifeline by which to finish off this game here, now that Ukraine is taking casualties alongside Turkey.
They've got a ridgeline for some form of cover to play, a rock that they've already gotten control over, already gone up right next to the crate as well, which gives you a little bit more to work with as well as cover. Chila's going to be up right next to Ukraine and focus on it, but 3 players up for Ukraine. This is a squad that can frag out. So Chinese Taipei has to hit their shots. Any peaks will get punished, and it is all going to come down to the aim from Ukraine, and can it be enough?
Yeah, this is the problem, right? Because even if, like, let's just theorize for a second that the names were changed on these teams. If this is Na'Vi, a lot of people will put stock in them to still maybe win this game, even though they're in a really, really bad position here against where Chinese Taipei is set up. And of course, Schiller, the absolute assassin of Turkey, is still alive, but it's not going to be enough here. He gets put down now. And the rest of Ukraine. But the problem is Chinese Taipei surely knows where they're moving. Yes, Diffex starts things off with the M249. It's huge from Diffex.
Okay, that in front. That's way more space. And look at Ukraine. They realize that they've got this ridgeline that they can now play on the counter side. The center dot is in the middle of this road, so it's going to be jockeying for position between the two. But Ukraine feels like they've got so much control over this angle, and they have been locked into position. They are pissed.
The confidence is overflowing now from Ukraine, and not only did they weather the storm on that west side, they flexed out. Upchen is down as well. It's all on Lundlund to try and do something here. Chinese Taipei, a good rally back in this game, a good rally back in the fight, but it does not matter when Ukraine looks this crazy. 3 wins on the day here at PNC 2026.
First day getting chicken भाई साहब फिर से
coming out, Matrim. That is insane.
Ukraine just walked through an open road,
21 point chicken
and took the fight. These guys are playing dominant style. Let's tag back in Gibson and Mark. Gibson, what you think?
Oh man, that was insane from Ukraine. That initial knock in that fight with Chinese Taipei just opened up the door and they got the job done. But Mark, again, there was a huge fight between Ukraine and Turkey that could have literally went the other way. But again, Turkey hanging in to get another top 3.
आर्म प्लेयर होगा ना.
Well. He was right underneath the noses of them, right? He kind of put that exchange really quickly. Good play, but yeah, it could have gone either way. I called it though, boys. Three wins from Ukraine. We have to tap them out, but Denmark as well. They've had an outstanding day also.
I mean, that's the crazy thing, right? As much as Hakatori goes down almost for free there against Turkey to start things off, Matrim, the problem is that the rest of this team is also super heavy on the frags. And if this had happened in previous iterations of what was then Na'Vi, or in normal tournaments Na'Vi, people would have been like, okay, well Hakatori's down, it's not going to work out, but not at all the case in 2026.
Well, it took so much for Ukraine to even take control over that circle for so long. Turkey just refused to go down, and that forced Ukraine into a lot more of a defensive position. They took this positioning because they wanted to get control over territory and then be able to use the field back behind them as cover so that way they can assault the road. But Turkey just survived for so long, it let everything kind of firefight over into the east, while it is, yes, Ukraine got a lion's share of their kills on that early defense in the west.
Really got a feel for Australia though there, Gibson, considering that it just felt like they just didn't have full info on what was an imminent danger there.
Well, it looked at one point like they knew because they were tossing nades into it, and they just ignored Finland, who, let's be real, I think for 12 minutes of that game, they just sat prone in a circle waiting for the points to come their way, and Corexi almost pulled off a hell of a play. Like, he got a couple of knocks and then he got a couple more. Like, he was one knock away from another squad wipe. So if he can bring that into tomorrow, maybe Finland can make a climb. But again, the other 4 maps were not great for them.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. The other 3 alongside Corexi here, they played with each other for a long time and also looked really good in PEC, Mark, but it really has not materialized today.
No, they've been chasing zones like a lot of these teams, unfortunately for them with the shift. But look, that nearly was a sign of magic, and you don't want to take anything away from Team Australia because they looked outstanding to that point, but they did not have the information at all.
Here we have, once again, Ferris, Diffex, Boostic, and Hakatori. Hakatori goes down early, but it doesn't matter. Here's the problem. Diffex, heavy fragger. Boostic, heavy fragger. Ferris, oftentimes, he is the IGL, but guess what? In 2026, he's also heavy fragger, Matrim, so it just never stops for this roster.
Who needs IGLs? Just walk a direction when you can kill a lobby and everything will be fine. In Ukraine, that's what it pretty much came down to. I don't usually like to call, okay, they're definitely going to win this one, but the moment that Ukraine took down Turkey, you could feel the momentum shift and the frustration just pop off from Ukraine. They're like, no, everything now dies. The confidence of running into the street to take on somebody behind a rock, that is just nuts.
But there's got to be some onus on Chinese Taipei here to say, okay, well, they're eliminating one another over on this west side, Mark. We've got to do something about it. And they're just holding spots and really kind of just giving a lot of 1v1s, honestly, to Ukraine in those months, who finishes on 76 points on the day.
I think it's down to Finland, though. I think that really put kind of the anchor on for Chinese Taipei. They thought they were controlling that side. They saw Australia going down. They saw the fight, and we saw them play forward. They just were not ready for Corexi there. That's what stopped them. And from that point, they were unable to build momentum. And when you get an opening, a tiny opening, Ukraine are going to take advantage.
Can I just add to that? Can I just add to that too? Like, you left a player with level 3 gear and he got deleted.
First time around, day 1 finished and on number 1. Well, how was it? Did it go any way that you expected, or was it just easy?
I would say like they was expecting these results. We was expecting that we was like killing everyone in the lobby, and we was pretty comfortable from the beginning and even before the tournament. So basically, like everything how it was expected, it was how it was expected.
It's good. It was just good and simple. Well, I mean, that basically also has to do with the chemistry that you have with your teammates, right? Back when reunited with the Na'Vi boys, along with your coach as well. How has that been? It's just fun playing like old times, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's fun to play with like old teammates, especially like because we also was good friends with some of them. So yeah, I mean, it's good to back like on the team. Also, it's good to back on the LAN because last year for me was not as I expected it to be, and my team was not quite. I didn't feel as confident as I feel now, I would say.
I mean, do you think that you guys maybe have, I guess, kind of grown individually as well to put on such a fantastic performance today then?
I mean, for sure, like every player like grown a lot, like I mean, I can see the difference between like who I was playing in 2024 and who I'm playing with now. Like it's completely different person.
We need to be able to hear you.
Oh, not only in the game, but also in life. So yeah.
That's amazing. And well, I guess day one done, right? Next we have day